Chapter 836. Actually, Qin Feng was also puzzled. It was said that the 9 dragons of China were arranged according to the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue and purple. However, these 7 colors represented the 7 most powerful beings in China. If the 9 dragons of China were the 9 most powerful beings, then what about the other 2? Ji Yi looked at Qin Feng curiously. He thought Qin Feng knew about the 9 dragons of China. You really don't know them? I don't. Please enlighten me, Senior Ji Yi, Qin Feng said seriously. Is that so? Then let me tell you. The 9 dragons of China are 9 people, but many people don't know that China has a phoenix. Phoenix? You mean that long-legged beauty? Qin Feng was shocked. Ji Yi nodded and continued. Actually, China has 9 dragons and 1 phoenix. Other than the 7 dragons, there is a black dragon and a white phoenix. That makes it 9 people. Qin Feng was enlightened, but then he realized something was wrong. Doesn't that mean there is 1 less dragon? Ji Yi's expression changed, and a trace of seriousness flashed in his eyes. He said slowly, Indeed, there is 1 less dragon. Above the 9 dragons is the divine dragon. The divine dragon's strength surpasses the 8 dragons and 1 phoenix, and he became the symbol of independence. Therefore, the 9 dragons of China that people often talk about are actually the 8 dragons and 1 phoenix, not the divine dragon. He, the divine dragon, has his own name. The divine dragon? His own name? Qin Feng was shocked. He never thought that there was a divine dragon above the 9 dragons. If the 9 dragons of China were all powerful beings at the peak of stage 9 inner qi, then what realm was the divine dragon? Qin Feng suddenly felt that his strength was still too weak. As his horizons grew, he met more and more powerful beings. Senior Ji Yi, does this mean that the divine dragon has entered the true qi stage? Qin Feng asked. No one knows because no one has seen the divine dragon in action. However, rumor has it that he was the most powerful being in China 20 years ago. After listening to Ji Yi's explanation, Qin Feng understood the situation of the 9 dragons and 1 phoenix. Qin Feng scanned the surroundings again, then looked at Ji Yi and asked, The dragon god didn't come? No, he's just like his name, elusive and elusive. Even I've only seen him once. Qin Feng was getting more and more curious about this divine dragon. He was just about to ask Ji Yi more when the 5 dragons and 1 phoenix walked over. Qin Feng recognized the elder leading the group. He was the elder of the Dongfang family, Crimson Dragon Dongfang Ming Wang. Congratulations, Qiao Feng. You will soon join the ranks of our 9 dragons and become a family with everyone. Dongfang Ming Wang knew the relationship between Qiao Feng and Qin Feng, so he treated Qiao Feng warmly. After all, Qiao Feng was his grandson-in-law. Bai Feng crossed her arms in front of her chest and stood coldly to the side. This was because Bai Feng had seen Qin Feng glancing at Bai Feng's long legs several times. Since the Crimson Dragon had greeted Qin Feng, the other 4 dragons couldn't pretend that they didn't see him. Hello, I'm Orange Dragon Chenqingdi. I am Golden Dragon UNMO. Nameless Green Dragon. Black Dragon Sword Zhou Burial. Other than Azure Dragon, who had betrayed the dragon sect, Feng Qingyu, who was not present, the remaining experts of the 8 dragons and 1 phoenix were all standing before Qin Feng. After greeting Qin Feng, everyone looked at Qin Feng curiously. They had heard about the battle on Broken Cliff Mountain. Although Purple Dragon Su Xiaotian was the weakest among the 8 dragons and 1 phoenix, he was still a stage 9 inner qi expert. Looking at Qin Feng, who was in his early 20s, they couldn't believe that such a young man could defeat Su Xiaotian. The 5 dragons and 1 phoenix were baffled. Congratulations, Qiao Feng. I've always thought that you are young and promising. I was right about you. After greeting Qin Feng, Yuan Fu and the rest of the 5 tigers came over. Yuan Fu knew Qin Feng and Xiao Feng's identities. Back at Devil Beast Mountain, Yuan Fu was the one who put on the show with Qin Feng. Qin Feng's eyes reddened when he saw Uncle Fu again. It had only been 2 months since they last met, but Uncle Fu's entire body was as black as charcoal. There was an additional trace of weariness and vicissitudes between his brows. His exposed arms were covered with knife marks, and there was a long knife scar on his face, Qin Feng knew that after Uncle Fu joined the Five Tigers, he was transferred by the Chinese government to guard the border. The scars on Uncle Fu's body were the result of fighting with the invaders for 2 months. Many people only saw peace and prosperity and enjoyed a stable and happy life. They didn't know that there were many heroes like Uncle Fu who sacrificed their lives to guard the borders of China. Senior Yuan Fu, thank you for your hard work. Qin Feng was so emotional that he rushed forward and hugged Yuan Fu tightly. His eyes were filled with tears. This scene surprised everyone. The dragons took a few steps back and looked at Xiao Feng with strange eyes. Is there something wrong with this person's sexual orientation? The moment Yuan Fu saw Qin Feng, he couldn't contain his excitement. Both of them were not related by blood, but they were as close as father and son. Before Qin Feng obtained the Hedonist sovereign system, Uncle Fu had saved his life countless times. Xiao Feng, don't be sad for me. You must be proud of me. It's my honor to protect the country. I believe that after you become the new 9 dragons, your family will be proud of you. Yuan Fu had changed a lot in the past 2 months. He exuded a determined and domineering aura. Qin Feng saw that Uncle Fu had returned to the ranks of the strongest in China. He was proud of Uncle Fu. The 9 dragons and 5 tigers surrounded Qin Feng. Even the leaders of the Dragon Gate, Heaven, Earth, Mystic, and Yellow teams didn't have the right to approach. Not long ago, Exploding Bear and Flying Bird looked down on Xiao Feng. In less than a month, they didn't even have the right to speak to Xiao Feng. It felt like they were slapped in the face by an invisible hand. Bing Bing, come here. I'll introduce some seniors to you. Qin Feng saw Lu Bingbing's beautiful figure in the crowd and quickly called her over. Everyone who was in the middle of a heated discussion looked at Lu Bingbing with envy. Today was the big day of the Dragon Sect. Almost all the members of the Heaven, Earth, Mystery and Fantasy group were here. It was rare to see the 9 dragons and the 12 peaks of China gathered together. Everyone excitedly discussed the legendary deeds of the strongest. Who didn't want to chat with Qin Feng's group? That was the highest honor. However, this was unrealistic. It was the 9 dragons and 5 tigers of China. How could an ordinary dragon sect member come into contact with them? However, because of Xiao Feng's words, Lu Bingbing joined the ranks of the 9 dragons and 5 tigers. She accomplished what the dragon sect members dreamed of. Lu Bingbing was very nervous. Since she was young, her dream was to join the dragon sect and meet the 9 dragons and 5 tigers of China. Now that Xiao Feng became the new 9 dragons, he didn't forget to introduce her to the other seniors. Lu Bingbing was very touched. Seniors, this is my subordinate from the Huang group, Lu Bingbing. She's an outstanding and responsible dragon sect member. I hope you can take care of her in the future. Qin Feng praised Lu Bingbing in front of the 9 dragons and 5 tigers, which made Lu Bingbing feel a little embarrassed. Dongfang Ming Wang, Ji Yi, and Yuan Fu were very close to Qin Feng. The 3 of them gave Qin Feng face and praised Lu Bingbing. The others didn't want to undermine Lu Bingbing, so they simply said a few words, which made Lu Bingbing excited. After Lu Bingbing joined the ranks of the 9 dragons and 5 tigers, Yan Wushuang stood alone in a corner. Her eyes were full of disappointment. She had been in the dragon sect for more than 5 years. She also wanted to meet the 9 dragons and 5 tigers. In the eyes of the dragon sect members, the 9 dragons and 5 tigers were like superstars pursued by ordinary girls. Yan Wushuang was also a fanatical fan of the 9 dragons and 5 tigers, but she didn't have the chance to join the ranks of the strongest. Instructor Yan, come over here too. Yan Wushuang was looking at Lu Bingbing in a daze. She thought Lu Bingbing was very lucky to be loved and cared for by Qin Feng. Brothers and sisters of the Dragon Sect, tonight is a joyous day. The Dragon Sect has been established for 100 years. We have changed the members of the 9 dragons and 5 tigers more than a dozen times. Tonight, we have a new member joining the ranks of the 9 dragons of China. The 12 peaks sent a representative to give a speech. At the beginning, they were just words that went beyond the formalities. However, the atmosphere was still very lively. The change of the 9 dragons and 5 tigers of the Dragon Sect was a big event. It even attracted the attention of the martial artists in the secular world and many forces outside the martial arts world. After the opening speech, the representative of the 12 Peaks paused for a moment and went straight to the main topic. Before we give Comrade Xiao Feng the title of dragon, I have to announce another matter. Because of the money laundering mission in Hong Kong, we found out that Green Dragon Feng Qingyu betrayed the organization and colluded with external forces. So far, the Dragon Sect has revoked Feng Qingyu's title of Green Dragon and issued a global arrest warrant to capture him. Chapter 837. Swoosh. Following the announcement of the 12 Upper Peaks representatives, the crowd went into an uproar. They thought Xiao Feng was going to be conferred the title of China's Purple Dragon, but Xiao Feng got lucky this time and became the Blue Dragon and Green Dragon's competitor. But soon, those who were close to Qin Feng started to worry. Blue Dragon Ji Yi was definitely stronger than Su Xiaotian. Could Qin Feng really defeat him? Hehe. Let's not make things so complicated. I'm already famous as Blue Dragon Ji Yi, and I don't want to change my name so easily. I'll step down and let Xiao Feng be the Green Dragon. Before the crowd could react, Ji Ye's hearty laughter echoed in the hall. Qin Feng was startled. Before he could say anything, Ji Yi waved his hand and interrupted. Brother Xiao Feng, don't say any more. You know what kind of person I, Ji Yi, am. We completed the money laundering mission together in Hong Kong last time. Our teamwork was great. I hope we can work together again in the future. Since Ji Yi had already said that, Qin Feng didn't want to be pretentious anymore. He was not a pretentious person. All right, Senior Ji Yi, I'll accept your invitation. Qin Feng replied. In the blink of an eye, Qin Feng and Ji Yi had reached an agreement. Even the 12 Upper Peaks were still in a daze. The 12 of them had cold expressions and showed their displeasure. The reason why they suggested another match between Xiao Feng and Ji Yi was that the 12 of them still held a grudge against Ouyang Feng for beating them up on the cliff. Later on, Xiao Feng talked back to the 12 Upper Peaks. Of course, the 12 of them had to punish Xiao Feng. Otherwise, how could they maintain their position and prestige? In the end, the hole was filled by Qin Feng and Ji Yi. This time, the 12 Upper Peaks were at their wits' end. Senior Ji Yi, since Senior Ji Yi has stepped down, can you confer the title to me now? Qin Feng looked at the 12 of them with a smile. The 12 Upper Peaks regained their senses and glared at Qin Feng angrily. But they couldn't do anything to Xiao Feng. The 12 Upper Peaks representatives stepped forward and stood in front of Qin Feng. The hundreds of people around held their breaths. The most important moment of the night was about to come. On behalf of the 12 Peaks of the Dragon Sect, on behalf of the Dragon Sect of China, I hereby announce that the vice team leader of the original Huang Group, Xiao Feng, is now officially conferred the title of Azure Dragon of China. From now on, Azure Dragon Xiao Feng will be recorded in the history of the Dragon Sect. The representatives from the 12 Peaks were still talking about the away game. But Lu Bingbing and Yan Wushuang could no longer hear anything. Tears welled up in the two women's eyes. They knew that Qin Feng had defeated Zilong, and that Qin Feng would become the new 9 dragons of China. They thought they were ready to welcome this glorious moment, but when the moment came, they couldn't suppress the excitement in their hearts. Tears of joy gushed out of their eyes. Pa pa pa. After a brief silence, thunderous applause rang out in the Dragon Gate base. The members of the Huang group were so excited that they were going crazy. Zhang Ye's eyes rolled back, and he nearly fainted from joy. The 9 dragons and 5 tigers all came up to congratulate Qin Feng. The team leaders and leaders of the Heaven, Earth and Mysterious Fantasy teams also surrounded Qin Feng, looking for opportunities to flatter him. Lu Yunduan, Lei Ming, and Song Changsheng blushed when they thought of suppressing Xiao Feng when he first joined the Dragon Gate. They wished they could dig a hole and hide in it. The team leaders of the Heaven Group, Flying Bird and the Earth Group, Exploding Bear, felt even more ashamed. However, they had to stay in the base. Even the 9 dragons and 5 tigers had not left, so how could they leave first? Haha, good job, Xiao Feng. You're the Green Dragon of China now. You're amazing. Truly amazing. Ji Yi patted Qin Feng's shoulder happily. Dongfang Ming Wang stroked his beard and nodded at Qin Feng. Now that Qin Feng had become the Green Dragon of China, his marriage with Dongfang Qing Shui would be even more perfect. Big brother Qiaofeng. No, Senior Green Dragon, on behalf of all the members of the Huang group, congratulate Big Brother. Zhang Ye was so excited that he couldn't speak coherently. Qin Feng patted Zhang Ye's head and said, "Don't worry, you're still my little brother. Just follow me and do your best." Okay. Thank you, Big Brother. There were so many people who came to congratulate Qin Feng that he was surrounded by 3 layers of people. Qin Feng's achievement was considered a miracle in the Dragon Sect. He had joined the Dragon Sect for less than 3 months. From an ordinary member of the Huang group, he completed all kinds of difficult missions and rose to the position of deputy leader of the Huang group. Now, he made a huge leap and jumped to the position of the Green Dragon of China. Tonight was Qin Feng's home court, and he was the main character of the event. The 12 peaks of the Dragon Sect were ignored by everyone and cast aside like air. The 12 of them stood in the dark and looked at Qin Feng. They were so angry that their noses were crooked. Today's dragon conferral had ended, and the 12 of them had nothing to do. After staying for a while, the 12 peaks left the hall in a huff. There was a celebration banquet in the Dragon Sect's base. The hall was filled with food and wine. After everyone congratulated Qin Feng, they started to eat, drink, and have fun. Qiaofeng, I'll leave first. Have a good celebration. The 9 dragons and 5 tigers were busy people. After Uncle Fu congratulated Qin Feng, he was about to leave with the 5 tigers, because they still needed to guard the border of China. Senior Yuan Fu, don't you want to stay for a drink before you leave? Qin Feng looked at Uncle Fu reluctantly. Uncle Fu patted Qin Feng's shoulder and said proudly, "I still have important matters to attend to, so I won't waste any more time here. You must continue to work hard and make Uncle Fu proud of you. Uncle Fu, I'll see you off." Thousands of words could not express Qin Feng's feelings at this moment. He personally sent Uncle Fu off. Looking at the backs of the 5 fierce tigers that gradually disappeared into the night, Qin Feng's heart was filled with emotions. After the 5 tigers left, the remaining 7 dragons and 1 phoenix also bid farewell to Qin Feng. All of them had heavy responsibilities, so they couldn't delay too much. After the 9 dragons and 5 tigers left, the atmosphere in the hall became even more heated. As the 9 dragons and 5 tigers were the strongest in China, they constantly emitted a majestic and powerful aura, suppressing the other members of the Dragon Sect to the point that they could not let loose. Now that everyone had let loose, all of them were like wild horses that had broken free from their reins. Qin Feng was not in a hurry to leave, because everyone was here to celebrate his success. Although he had become the Green Dragon of China, Qin Feng did not put on airs, especially those subordinates who had a good relationship with him. Qin Feng mingled with them as usual. People kept coming to toast Qin Feng. Qin Feng had lost track of how many cups he had drunk that night. When the banquet was coming to an end, Qin Feng was a little drunk. He ran to Yan Wushuang with a cup of wine in his hand. "Instructor Yan, come and have a drink with me." Yan Wushuang looked at Qin Feng, who was walking unsteadily. She quickly pulled him to a chair and sat him down. "You still want to drink? You're already drunk, so stop drinking." Yan Wushuang wanted to snatch the cup from Qin Feng's hand, but she missed. Qin Feng tyrannically hugged Yan Wushuang's slender waist and blew hot air into her ear. "Who said I'm drunk? I'm still sober." Yan Wushuang's pretty face blushed. She felt her ears were boiling hot, and her body felt numb, as if she was electrocuted. "You're so annoying. Get your filthy hands off me." Someone saw it. Yan Wushuang pinched Qin Feng's thigh, but Qin Feng did not feel it. "Wushuang, can you reconsider the thing I mentioned to you? Now that I'm the Green Dragon of China, do you want me to do something with you?" Yan Wushuang was about to reprimand Qin Feng, but she remembered that it was Qin Feng's big day tonight. She swallowed her words and said softly, I'll think about it." After fooling around with Yan Wushuang for a while, Qin Feng went to look for Lu Bingbing. Lu Bingbing was very happy tonight, because her man had become the Green Dragon of China. Seeing Qin Feng was drunk, Lu Bingbing supported him. The banquet lasted until late at night. Everyone was drunk, and some left. When Qin Feng was almost done, Lu Bingbing brought him back to the villa. "Qin Feng, take a seat. I'll boil some water for you." Lu Bingbing helped Qin Feng to sit on the sofa. Before she could leave, she was pulled into Qin Feng's arms. Bingbing, I'm not drunk. Why do you want to boil water? Qin Feng's voice was slurred, but he said he was not drunk. Lu Bingbing couldn't stop giggling when she saw his adorable face. Okay. You're not drunk. Lie down for a while, and I'll boil some water for you. Okay. Lu Bingbing found that Qin Feng was like a child sometimes. Sometimes he was so domineering that it was scary. However, it was because of this that Qin Feng won Lu Bingbing's heart. Qin Feng really drank too much and fell asleep on the sofa. Lu Bingbing ran to boil some water and brought a wet towel to wipe Qin Feng's body. She took care of Qin Feng like a little wife and was considerate and attentive. After a short nap, Qin Feng woke up. He was at the early stage of stage 9 inner qi, so his recovery speed was 10 times faster than ordinary people. As soon as he woke up, he saw Lu Bingbing lying in front of him. The collar of her white shirt was unbuttoned, and all he could see was her snow-white skin. Ah, Qin Feng, why you're awake? You bastard, don't bite me. Lu Bingbing was wiping Qin Feng's body seriously. Suddenly she screamed. Her ice-cold face turned flirtatious and red. Qin Feng didn't seem to hear Lu Bingbing's begging. He carried Lu Bingbing to the French window. Outside, there was a starry sky and a beautiful night view. After waking up, Qin Feng was like an awakened beast. Lu Bingbing had no strength to struggle and fell into his warm and strong embrace. Lu Bingbing bent over and propped up her butt. She looked at the streetlights outside and screamed, Ah! Don't do it here. Someone will see us. Crack! Qin Feng didn't move. He opened the window in the middle and let Lu Bingbing's screams travel outside. Bingbing, as the Green Dragon of China, I order you to obey your superior's orders. Move faster. Chapter 838. Outside of China, there were many factions in the pugilistic world. Most of the large sects chose to build their bases in the desolate suburbs. The poison sect's base was built in a barren mountain outside of the provincial capital. The entire mountain was filled with all sorts of poisonous creatures. Normal people didn't dare to go near this mountainous area, so it was named Poison Mountain. Today, a large group of people came to Poison Mountain. A dozen or so martial artists protected a man and a woman as they walked towards the poison sect. The man was in his early 50s and was tall and well-built. He looked like he had a lot on his mind. The woman beside him was in her 20s and was in her prime. However, the woman wasn't very good-looking. Or rather, it was impossible to tell if she was pretty or ugly. This was because she was simply too fat, and it took a lot of effort for her to walk. The fat woman was Zhao Lingxian and Qin Feng's classmate Ma Chui. A few months ago, Qin Feng returned to Acropolis City to celebrate Ma Chui's birthday. During the birthday party, he even kissed Ma Chui when they played Truth or Dare. Dad, there are poisonous scorpions everywhere. I'm a bit scared. Ma Chui was a girl after all. When she saw the poisonous creatures crawling all over the mountain, she was so scared that she jumped into the man's arms. The well-built middle-aged man was called Ma Yuanshan, and he was Ma Chui's father. He frowned as he hugged his daughter and comforted her. Xan, with Dad here, those poisonous creatures won't dare to hurt you. Ma Chui was still a bit worried. She looked pitifully at her father and said, Dad, let's go back. I don't want to go to the poison sect. Ma Yuanshan let out a long sigh. He didn't want to send his daughter to the poison sect either. The poison sect was filled with monsters that played with poison since young. However, Ma Chui had a strange illness. Ever since she was born, there was a poisonous gas in her body that couldn't be removed. As Ma Chui grew up, the poisonous gas in her body increased. According to the Ma family's elder, if she didn't find a way to remove the poisonous gas, Ma Chui wouldn't be able to live for more than half a year. Ma Yuanshan had already looked for all the famous doctors in the world, but he still couldn't cure his daughter. Now he only had one last hope, and that was the poison sect. Xian, Dad promises you that I'll always be by your side. Let's go to the poison sect and find someone to take a look at you. Once they're done, I'll immediately take you home. Ma Yuanshan dotingly patted his daughter's head. A trace of fear remained in Ma Chui's eyes, but she still nodded. The closer they got to Poison Sect's base, the more poisonous creatures there were on the mountain. There were colorful snakes, giant scorpions, centipedes, red toads, colorful moths. Every single poisonous creature was enough to make people want to vomit. Ma Chui's body began to tremble. Not to mention a girl like her. Even Ma Yuanshan's heart palpitated when he saw the poisonous creatures all over the ground. Who are you? How dare you barge into the sacred grounds of our poison sect? An old voice suddenly rang out. Before Ma Yuanshan and the dozen or so Ma family guards could see the situation clearly, a black shadow landed on the mountain top a dozen or so meters away. The Grand Guardian of Poison Sect, Elder Yang, stood with his hands behind his back. Dressed in black robes and a straw hat that covered his face, he exuded a cold and sinister aura. Ma Yuanshan hurriedly raised his hand, and everyone from the Ma clan stopped. Senior, we are from the Ma clan fortress of the outer martial world. We didn't mean to intrude into your sect's sacred ground. It's just that my daughter has a strange illness, and we would like to ask Poison Sect to treat her. Once it's done, the Ma clan fortress will definitely reward you handsomely. The Ma family of Acropolis City, where Ma Chui came from, was a branch of the Ma clan fortress of the outer martial world. The Ma clan fortress was considered a medium-sized sect in the outer martial world. If it was placed in the secular world, it would be a very powerful existence. This was also the reason why Yuan Fu warned Qin Feng not to provoke Ma Chui. Elder Yang obviously knew about the Ma clan fortress, but he didn't care at all. Compared to the Poison Sect, the Ma clan fortress was nothing. Bullshit. Do you think that the Poison Sect is a medical institution? Hurry up and leave with your people, or else you'll have to bear the consequences. Elder Yang's expression turned cold, and his attitude was very domineering. Ma Chui anxiously held onto her father's arm, begging him to leave. However, Ma Yuanshan refused to leave. The Poison Sect was his daughter's last hope for survival. Even if he were to die here today, Ma Yuanshan had to meet the sect master of the Poison Sect. Senior, my beloved daughter has been suffering from a strange illness since she was young. There is a poisonous gas in her body that she can't expel. This poisonous gas seems to be growing in her body, and as she grows older, the poisonous gas becomes more and more concentrated. I've long heard that the Poison Sect is the #1 sect in the outer martial world that uses poison. I believe that if you help me, my daughter will definitely be saved. Ma Yuanshan begged bitterly, and Elder Yang, who had always been domineering, changed his expression. In a flash, he suddenly appeared in front of Ma Chui. Dad! At such a close distance, Ma Chui saw the ferocious face under Elder Yang's straw hat, and she was so frightened that she quickly hid in her father's embrace. Ma Yuanshan was also shocked. He didn't understand why Elder Yang suddenly flew over. Was he going to fight just because of a disagreement? Senior, what are you? Before Ma Yuanshan could react, he saw Elder Yang grabbing his daughter's arm, as if he was checking her pulse. Elder Yang waved his hand, and didn't wait for Ma Yuanshan to finish speaking. He directly interrupted. All of you shut up. Let me see the girl's condition first. Ma Yuanshan's heart was filled with doubts. He couldn't understand the strange old man's temper. One moment, he wanted to chase people away, and the next, he couldn't wait to check his daughter's illness. However, Ma Yuanshan didn't think too much about it. The fact that the Poison Sect was willing to help was better than anything else. The atmosphere suddenly froze. Ma Yuanshan and the dozen or so Ma family guards held their breath, not even daring to breathe loudly. The quiet surroundings were filled with the rustling sounds of the poisonous creatures, and Ma Yuanshan and the others had goosebumps. After a while, Elder Yang released Ma Chui's arm. The expression on his face was unpredictable, as if he was surprised. Senior, can my beloved daughter be saved? You must save her. Ma Yuanshan looked at Elder Yang anxiously. Elder Yang didn't rush to speak. He looked like he was thinking. After a while, Elder Yang's cold voice sounded. This girl's body is quite unique. I want to bring her back to see our sect leader. You guys can leave, Elder Yang said as he was about to take Ma Chui away. Ma Chui was so scared that she quickly grabbed her father's arm. Dad, I don't want to go to the Poison Sect alone. I want to go home. Ma Yuanshan frowned. He was also worried about handing his daughter over to Elder Yang. Senior, I'll let the others go back. How about I accompany my beloved daughter to see the sect leader? Elder Yang raised his eyebrows and shouted impatiently, You're so long-winded. I won't change my words. What are you worried about? Are you afraid that I'll harm your daughter? Let me tell you, if I really did make a move, you guys would have already turned into bones. Why would I waste my time with you guys? As Elder Yang spoke, he released the aura of a Stage 7 Devil Cultivator. It was the aura of a Stage 8 Inner Chi martial artist, and it instantly suppressed Ma Yuanshan and the others to the point that they couldn't breathe. Ma Yuanshan was only a Stage 6 Inner Chi expert, and the group of Ma family guards he brought were only Stage 4 Inner Chi. In front of Elder Yang, they really couldn't resist at all. Senior, please cure my beloved daughter. We'll take our leave now. After sensing Elder Yang's aura, Ma Yuanshan decided to leave with his men. He wasn't afraid of death, and wanted to leave his daughter behind. Just as Elder Yang said, with his strength, killing Ma Yuanshan and the others was as easy as lifting a finger. Ma Yuanshan had no other choice but to place his hopes on the poison sect. Dad, don't go. I am afraid to go alone. Ma Chui hurriedly rushed up and grabbed her father's arm when she heard that he wanted to leave with his men. Tears flickered in Ma Yuanshan's determined expression. He patted his daughter's head and said, Xin, this is your last hope of survival. Don't worry. I believe that this senior won't harm you. Go with him to the poison sect. Dad will come to pick you up in a few days. Ma Chui obviously didn't agree, but this time, Ma Yuanshan didn't pamper her anymore. He resolutely handed Ma Chui over to Elder Yang. Ma Yuanshan had already left with the Ma family. This barren mountain was surrounded by poisonous creatures, so Ma Chui didn't dare to move. She stood nervously on the ground with tears in her eyes. Your name is Ma Chui, right? Elder Yang's voice sounded, but it wasn't as cold as before. Ma Chui didn't say anything. She didn't dare to look at Elder Yang's ferocious face. Your body is very strange. I suspect that you have the body of 10,000 poison. This is a sacred body of poison that only appears once in 100 years. You want to follow me back to the poison sect. Do you want me to tie you up and bring you back? Or do you want to obediently walk behind me? I'll walk by myself. Ma Chui's body tensed up, and her voice was trembling with fear. Elder Yang looked at Ma Chui's nervous expression and shook his head helplessly. He turned around and walked into the depths of the mountain. Ma Chui didn't dare to disobey Elder Yang. She was deeply afraid that she would be tortured cruelly if she angered this old man. Along the way, Ma Chui followed behind Elder Yang vigilantly. She was surprised to find that the poisonous creatures on the ground seemed to understand Elder Yang's words, and they all scattered to other places. Without the poisonous creatures entangling her, Ma Chui finally heaved a sigh of relief. She felt that Elder Yang wasn't a bad person. The two of them walked all the way to the foot of the mountain. It was a plain, and there was a huge base built on the plain. It was surrounded by walls, and there was only one entrance. There were also 2 rows of guards guarding the entrance. Guardian Yang. The guards greeted Elder Yang respectfully when they saw him. Elder Yang's expression was calm as he said coldly, I want to bring that woman to see the sect leader. Elder Yang spoke, and the guards didn't dare to stop Ma Chui. They watched as Ma Chui and Elder Yang entered the poison sect. There were many wooden houses built in the poison sect. The houses weren't extravagant, and they gave off the feeling of ancient architecture. Ma Chui followed behind Elder Yang and looked around curiously. She had forgotten to be afraid. Guardian Yang of the poison sect requests to see the sect leader. Elder Yang stopped in front of the tallest wooden house. Come in. The multiform Poison King's voice came from inside the house. Elder Yang glanced at Ma Chui, and Ma Chui nervously followed him into the house. The facilities in the house were very simple. There was a wooden bed, a square table, and a medicine stove in the corner. The house was filled with the strong smell of Chinese medicine. Ah, so many insects. Ma Chui exclaimed as soon as she entered the house. She realized that the house was also crawling with poisonous creatures. The multiform Poison King was sitting on the bed and feeding medicine to Een Elder. When he heard Ma Chui's voice, he immediately frowned and looked over. Where did this woman come from? Why did you bring her back to the poison sect? Elder Yang felt the great change in the sect leader's aura, and he knew that the multiform Poison King was angry. He was so scared that he immediately replied, "Sect leader, she is from the Ma family fortress. She has a strange disease. Since she was born, there is poisonous gas in her body that is difficult to remove. I suspect that she has the body of 10,000 poison." Body of 10,000 poison? The multiform Poison King let out a strange cry. In the next second, his figure was already standing in front of Ma Chui. Ma Chui was shocked and kept screaming. However, the multiform Poison King didn't seem to hear her. He grabbed Ma Chui's arm and checked her body condition. A moment later, the multiform Poison King's face was full of shock. Elder Yang only suspected that Ma Chui had the body of 10,000 poison, but he couldn't be sure. After the multiform Poison King checked, he was sure that this girl really had the body of 10,000 poison. "What's your name?" The multiform Poison King stared at Ma Chui with shining eyes, as if he had picked up a treasure. Ma Chui trembled in fear. Ma Chui. "Okay, Ma Chui, are you willing to join our poison sect? I'll directly give you the title of vice sect leader. In the future, your position in the poison sect will only be lower than mine. Even the Yin Elder will have to listen to your orders." Chapter 839. Ma Chui felt uncomfortable being stared at by the two old men with burning eyes. She was fat and ugly. How could these two strange old men take a fancy to her? Wasn't their taste a bit too heavy? I don't want to join the poison sect." Ma Chui nervously refused. The multiform Poison King immediately became anxious and quickly said, "Chui Air, don't be in a hurry to refuse. As long as you agree to join the poison sect, I can cure your illness and extend your life." Being called Chui Air by a strange old man, Ma Chui didn't know how to feel. She carefully looked at the multiform Poison King and said in a small voice, Then when I become the vice sect leader, you can't touch me." The multiform Poison King and Elder Yang were stunned. They didn't understand what Ma Chui meant. "Touch you? Why would I touch you? As long as you join the poison sect, whoever dares to bully you in the future, I will lead the poison sect to exterminate them." The multiform Poison King said heroically. Ma Chui always felt that these strange old men didn't understand her meaning, so she made it clearer. I will become the vice sect leader. You can't marry me, and I won't have that kind of relationship with you." Ma Chui didn't flinch when it came to this kind of principle. Even in the face of a group of monsters, Ma Chui still raised her head proudly. If the multiform Poison King didn't agree, Ma Chui was ready to commit suicide. The multiform Poison King suddenly froze. He was completely dumbfounded. The corner of Elder Yang's mouth twitched a few times. He wanted to laugh, but he didn't dare to. "Ahem. Chui Air, you think too much. I'm already so old. I'm more like your grandfather. Why would I?" The multiform Poison King was too embarrassed to continue. Ma Chui was puzzled. Then why do you want me to join the poison sect? I'm here to cure my illness." The always cold multiform Poison King was like a kind grandfather when facing Ma Chui. He couldn't help but reach out his hand to touch Ma Chui's head. He forced out a long-lost smile. "Chui Air, let me tell you the truth. In the eyes of others, your illness is incurable and a great disaster. However, in the eyes of our poison sect, your body is the 10,000 poison body that only appears once in 100 years. The body of a person with the 10,000 poison body is like a huge poison vat. It contains all kinds of strange poisons in the world. As long as you learn how to control these poisonous gases, they will become your treasures, making you powerful and invincible." Mutant Poison King told Ma Chui about the condition of her body, and Ma Chui listened with amazement. Then after I learn how to control the poisonous gas, can my body lose weight?" Ma Chui's thinking was too jumpy, and a sudden question made the 100-faced Poison King confused. Why you should be able to. All right, I agree to join the poison sect. Hurry up and teach me how to control the poisonous gas." Ma Chui suddenly became excited, but multiform Poison King and Elder Yang did not know what she was excited about. In fact, Ma Chui had never lost any weight in her entire life. The only time was at her birthday party not long ago. At that time, Ma Chui and Xiaofeng kissed. and all the poisonous gas in her body went to Qiao Feng's body. Then, Ma Chui had a stomachache, and when she came out of the bathroom, she was a completely different person. That was the first time Ma Chui saw her skinny appearance. She was as beautiful as an angel. Ma Chui fell in love with her skinny appearance. Since that birthday party, Ma Chui wanted to lose weight every day. She didn't want to show off, but she wanted to find Qiao Feng after losing weight, and then confess to him and fight for it. Multiform Poison King had already come back to his senses, and his old face was wrinkled with excitement. Chui Heir, since you have agreed to join the poison sect, then follow me out for a walk. I will tell you in detail about the 10,000 poison body, and then I will teach you how to control the poisonous gas in your body. After saying that, Multiform Poison King looked at Elder Yang. Oh right, Elder Yin has already taken the antidote of the King of Poisons. The antidote is real, so you stay and take care of him. Multiform Poison King had already left with Ma Chui, and Elder Yang came to the bedside and sat down. After the last medicinal pill conference, Qin Feng kept his promise and gave the antidote of the King of Poisons to the poison sect. After taking the antidote, the poison in Elder Yin's body had been expelled, and he would recover after a few days of rest. After Qin Feng became the Azure Dragon of China, the entire secular martial arts world, and the martial arts world went through a great shock. These days, the martial artists' topic of conversation was Qiao Feng. When they found out that Qiao Feng had become the Azure Dragon of China at such a young age, they were envious. Many people started to train hard with Qiao Feng as their example. The day of the Qin family's martial arts competition was getting closer and closer. Qin Feng suppressed a flame in his heart. He had waited for this day for too long. Although it had only been half a year, Qin Feng felt that it was as long as half a century. As long as he won the martial arts competition and took the position of the young master of the Qin family, he could bring his father back to the Qin family in the provincial capital and let his father live a stable life. Qin Feng could also ask about his mother's background. He couldn't wait. The Qin family in the provincial capital was unusually lively today. All the relatives of the 3 generations of the Qin family had rushed back. Qin Feng stood at the entrance of the Qin family's old mansion and looked at the 2 big red doors that left a deep impression in his childhood. His heart was filled with emotions. Qin Feng had forgotten how long it had been since he came back. This was supposed to be his home, but Qin Feng couldn't step into it during normal times. Hey, this is the Qin family's territory. Outsiders get lost. A rude voice rang out, pulling Qin Feng back to reality from his memories. 4 guards stood at the entrance of the Qin family's mansion. All 4 of them were tall and sturdy, and they looked like fiends. Their aura alone made people not dare to approach them. Qin Feng smiled bitterly. Am I really the eldest grandson of the Qin family? Even a doorman dared to yell at him? I'm Qin Feng, and I'm here to participate in the family's martial arts competition tomorrow. Qin Feng had already returned to his original appearance. Ever since the battle at Broken Cliff Mountain, the sacred azure battle armor was broken by Su Xiaotian, so Qin Feng bought Xiao Feng's human skin mask from the system. Now that he was back at the Qin family, he didn't need the human skin mask anymore. Heh, I don't care if you're Qin Feng or Hornet. I said you can't enter, so get lost. Qin Feng revealed his identity, but it was useless. Instead, the 4 guards became even more arrogant. Qin Feng was enraged. He wasn't stupid, and he didn't believe that these 4 people didn't know him. Look carefully. I'm the eldest grandson of the Qin family in the provincial capital. I want to enter the Qin family's mansion. Do you dare to stop me? Qin Feng's voice was cold. Fuck. You think you're Qin Feng, just because you say you're Qin Feng? Plus, so what if you're Qin Feng? That brat is a dissolute hedonist with a bad reputation. The Qin family in the provincial capital doesn't want to have anything to do with him. I'm warning you one last time. Get lost or I won't be polite. The guards seemed to have a grudge against Qin Feng, and they were obviously targeting him. Because the guard's shout was very loud, it attracted many people from the Qin clan in the courtyard to surround them. What's going on? Who's outside? As a guard of the Qin family, why don't you have any manners? What's wrong with yelling and shouting? This person looks so familiar. Ah, is this Qin Shi Huang's good-for-nothing son, Qin Feng? How is that possible? Didn't they say he's dead? What's going on? Not long after, more than 10 people from the Qin family surrounded the gate. Some were reprimanding the guards, some were pointing at Qin Feng, and some of the relatives who knew of Qin Feng's death were so scared that they had goosebumps. These relatives were relatives within 3 generations of the Qin family. They didn't pay as much attention to Qin Feng as Qin Yi and Qin Xiao. Many of them didn't even pay attention to Qin Feng. This was because Qin Feng's body was naturally good for nothing, and he couldn't cultivate. For an ancient martial arts family like the Qin family, a person who couldn't cultivate was equivalent to a good-for-nothing. Who would pay attention to a good-for-nothing? Third master. There's a brat making trouble at the gate. We're reprimanding him to leave. The guard said respectfully to a man in a black suit. The difference in their attitude before and after was like heaven and earth. The man in the black suit was Qin Ye's father, Qin Mu. Qin Mu stared at Qin Feng, who was standing at the gate, with intense flames burning in his eyes. When Qin Yi was killed in the Amethyst Dragon Palace, Qin Mu blamed it on Qin Feng. However, what Qin Mu didn't expect was that Qin Feng was still alive. How dare you cause trouble in the Qin manor? You'll be dealt with according to the rules. Qin Mu's expression changed again and again, and the inner qi on his fist suddenly dissipated. He turned around and walked into the old manor. This was the gate of the Qin manor after all. No matter how much Qin Mu hated Qin Feng, he wouldn't dare to make a move on him. If he did, old master would definitely not let him off. Since Qin Mu couldn't make a move, he let the guards of the Qin family deal with Qin Feng. As for why the 4 guards were clearly going against Qin Feng, Qin Mu wasn't too sure. After Qin Mu left, the relatives of the Qin family all came back to their senses. Everyone recognized Qin Feng. This was the eldest grandson of the direct line of descent Qin Feng. However, despite such an illustrious identity, the people of the Qin family didn't like Qin Feng at all. This was because Qin Feng had another title in the Qin family, and that was Young Master Trash. Rascal, why aren't you leaving? I think you're looking for a beating. The guards seemed to be waiting for the people of the Qin family to come and watch a good show. Seeing that the crowd was almost full, one of the guards roared angrily and smashed a fist towards Qin Feng's face. Cries of astonishment came from the crowd. No one expected that these guards would really dare to make a move. However, very soon, everyone had a gloating expression as they watched Qin Feng make a fool of himself. With Qin Feng's useless body, this punch would definitely beat him half to death. Bang! A loud noise that made everyone excited spread out. The people of the Qin family were instantly dumbstruck. The scene of Qin Feng being beaten to a pulp didn't appear as they imagined. Instead, the guard who had made a move had landed in the courtyard of the Qin manor. The place where he landed was at least 10 meters away from the gate. What's going on? What happened just now? Who sent the guard flying? Who is it? Rascal, you dare to use a sneak attack? Brothers, let's attack together and break this good-for-nothing's legs. The people of the Qin family were bewildered. Qin Feng's attack was too fast and none of them saw it clearly. The remaining 3 guards roared and pounced towards Qin Feng. They really thought that Qin Feng was a good-for-nothing young master, so they didn't take him seriously at all. Bang bang bang. Another 3 loud noises spread out in the air. Qin Feng stood with his hands behind his back as if he had never moved. The 3 guards all flew into the courtyard and landed accurately on the previous guard. The 4 of them piled on top of each other, and the guard at the bottom spat out blood from the pressure. The surrounding air suddenly froze, and the people of the Qin family were so shocked that they couldn't speak. Most of the people in the crowd were relatives within 3 generations of the Qin family. Normally, they didn't pay much attention to Qin Feng. Their impression of Qin Feng was that of a good-for-nothing when he was young, unable to cultivate and sickly. No one would have thought that the good-for-nothing from before would grow up in the blink of an eye and become a hidden expert. Qin Xiao, you can come out now, right? Qin Feng suddenly opened his mouth and broke the silence. When the first guard punched Qin Feng saw that guard's gaze towards the corner of the courtyard. In the corner Qin Xiao was hiding. Qin Feng instantly understood. No wonder these 4 guards were so arrogant. It turned out that his second brother, Qin Xiao, wanted to take him down a notch. In Qin Huang's generation there were 4 brothers. The eldest Qin Huang, the second Qin Zheng, the third Qin Mu, and the fourth Qin Chong. Qin Huang only had one son, Qin Feng. Qin Zheng also had one son, Qin Xiao. Qin Mu had 2 sons, one of which was Qin Yi. Only the fourth brother, Qin Reborn, had a daughter named Qin Duoer. 20 years ago, Qin Huang brought Qin Feng to Acropolis City, and third uncle's family went to Jincheng City. Only second uncle's family and fourth uncle's family stayed in the Qin manor in the capital. Fourth uncle's family only had one daughter, so he didn't have the qualifications to fight for the position of young master. Thus, second uncle's family helped old master Qin to take control of the Qin family and became the most dazzling people in the Qin family. Now that the Qin family's martial arts meet was about to begin, Qin Feng came to fight with Qin Xiao for the position of young master. It was no wonder that Qin Xiao would make such a sinister move. P.S. Third update. It's the last 3 days of the month, and this book is ranked 10th on the monthly votes list. However, the gap between us is very small. Brothers with monthly votes, I hope that you can vote for young master. Thank you very much. If today's monthly votes exceed 30, I'll explode. Everyone give it your all. Chapter 840. The members of the Qin family had yet to recover from the fact that Qin Feng had suddenly become stronger. They looked at Qin Xiao in astonishment as he walked out of the mansion. Qin Xiao was dressed in a white tang suit and had an imposing appearance. He exuded a faint aura that made people feel that he was very gentle. It was as if he was not a threat at all. Haha, isn't this my big brother Qin Feng? What are you doing in the Qin manor in the provincial capital? Qin Xiao had already walked to the gate of the Qin manor. He knew that Qin Feng would come, so he arranged for 4 guards to deliberately make things difficult for Qin Feng. On the surface, Qin Xiao looked calm and collected, but in his heart, raging waves were set off. The news of Qin Feng's death had spread for several months. Even Qin Xiao believed that Qin Feng was dead. However, the news of the construction of Hero City a few days ago made Qin Xiao feel that something was fishy. Qin Xiao visited his grandfather, Qin Shitian, late at night, and proposed to bring forward the clan's martial arts competition. Qin Shitian really agreed. The reason why Qin Xiao did this was to force Qin Feng to come out. Now that Qin Feng really came, Qin Xiao was a little uncertain. This was because the strength that Qin Feng displayed just now was beyond Qin Zhao's expectation. Even he couldn't see through Qin Feng's current realm. The atmosphere was completely frozen. The collateral relatives of the Qin family took a few steps back, leaving space for Qin Feng and Qin Xiao. These two were the direct descendants of the Qin family. They were the most competitive rivals. Now that the two of them were facing each other, everyone was looking forward to the upcoming show. You asked me why I'm here? Qin Feng's face was cold. The moment he saw Qin Xiao, he understood a lot of things. The Xiao 11 Lang from the Martial Artist Alliance must be the Qin Xiao in front of him. You heard me right. Why would a loser like you come to the Qin manor in the provincial capital? Qin Feng was cold and arrogant. Qin Xiao didn't avoid his sharp edge. The two of them glared at each other, and the air was filled with a strong smell of gunpowder. Because I'm a member of the Qin family. The Qin manor is my home. Everything here belongs to me. Why would I not come? I'm here to compete with you for the position of the young master. Bullshit. A loser like you deserves to be the young master? I want to see what confidence you have to say such big words. What Qin Xiao cared about the most was the position of the young patriarch. He had schemed and schemed all these years. Not only did he plot against Qin Feng, he even schemed against his third brother, Qin Yi. Now that Qin Feng had appeared alive and wanted to fight with him for the position of young patriarch, Qin Xiao was going crazy. Rumble. The air suddenly exploded with a loud bang. Qin Xiao had already struck out with his fist. In the blink of an eye, he was standing in front of Qin Feng. This fist contained powerful inner qi, and it was aimed at Qin Feng's life. The people of the Qin family were dumbfounded. They didn't expect that the grandson of the direct descendant would really fight. Pa. However, The intense battle that everyone had imagined did not appear. Qin Zhao's mighty and overbearing fist landed on Qin Feng's palm, and only a crisp sound rang out. It was as if a kindergartner had punched out with his fist. Qin Zhao's eyes were wide open. Only he knew how powerful that punch was. He had used all the strength of a stage 8 inner chi expert. He didn't expect Qin Feng to receive it so easily. Where did the originally raging inner chi go? Qin Feng's palm was like a vast ocean, absorbing and transforming all the attacks. How is this possible? I don't believe it. Qin Xiao, who had always been calm and composed, went crazy at this moment. He wanted to pull his fist back and continue to attack, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free from Qin Feng's palm. Is this all you've got? You want to fight for the position of the junior patriarch? What a joke! Qin Feng was expressionless. He was now the Green Dragon of China. When he faced Qin Xiao and his peers again, Qin Feng looked at them as if they were his juniors. Qin Xiao was embarrassed in front of everyone. He was so angry that his neck turned red. Suddenly he roared, and a series of violent explosion sounds came from his body. Qin Feng, I want you to die today. After the explosion, Qin Xiao became even crazier. Qin Feng had already let go of Qin Xiao. Rumble! As soon as he let go, Qin Xiao threw another punch. This punch was even more powerful than the previous one. Pa! However, Qin Feng's expression didn't change. From the beginning to the end, he didn't even move half a step. As the fist approached, Qin Feng reached out with lightning speed and caught Qin Zhao's huge fist again. Too slow, too weak. You can't do it. Qin Feng shook his head and let go of Qin Zhao's fist. Qin Zhao's eyes were bloodshot. He was so angry that he almost crushed his teeth and swallowed them. Then he threw another punch. Pa pa pa. No matter how Qin Xiao threw a punch, Qin Feng caught him with one hand. Gradually, Qin Zhao's fist technique was completely messed up. His momentum also dissipated. Looking at Qin Xiao in front of him, Qin Feng shook his head. This kind of strength was no longer worthy of being Qin Feng's opponent. Pa! Qin Feng forgot how many times he had caught Qin Zhao's fist. He was completely disappointed in Qin Xiao. This time, Qin Feng didn't hurry to let go. He suddenly raised his leg and prepared to kick Qin Xiao away. Big brother Qin Feng, don't. A clear female voice suddenly came from the old house. Qin Feng retracted his leg and looked inside. Qin Duo was wearing a pink cheongsam and had a ponytail. She ran over. While Qin Feng was distracted, Qin Zhao's other fist sneakily attacked Qin Feng's chest. That fist hadn't arrived yet, but the strong wind from the fist sounded. If this fist landed, it would definitely shatter Qin Feng's heart. Bang! There was a muffled sound. Qin Feng was faster and kicked Qin Xiao away. Qin Xiao landed beside the four guards. He was in so much pain that he couldn't stand up. Qin Duo ran to the center of the yard. Seeing Qin Xiao fall to the ground, she was so scared that she screamed. However, Qin Duo quickly came back to her senses and ran to Qin Feng. Big brother Qin Feng, why did you kick big brother Qin Xiao away? Qin Duo came up and grabbed Qin Feng's arm. Her movements were very natural. Qin Feng felt a softness on his arm, which made him very uncomfortable. Qin Feng rarely came to the Qin family. He only came back for dinner during Chinese New Year when he was young, so he wasn't very familiar with Qin Duo. In comparison, Qin Duo and Qin Xiao grew up together in the Qin manor in the provincial capital. This girl should be looking out for Qin Xiao. Why did she come over to his place? Duo, don't ask about the matters between me and Qin Xiao. Qin Feng didn't know how to face his cousin, so his voice was neither warm nor cold. Qin Duo pouted and a hint of sadness flashed in her eyes. Big brother Qin Feng, don't misunderstand. I'm not blaming you for hurting big brother Qin Xiao. I just feel that we're all brothers and sisters. Why do we have to be enemies? Qin Feng glanced at Qin Duo. He hadn't seen this girl for a long time. In his mind, Duo was a little follower. He didn't expect her to grow into such an outstanding beauty in such a short time. Some things are beyond my control. Qin Feng let out a long sigh. Qin Duo widened her big, bright eyes and blinked at Qin Feng. She didn't seem to understand what Qin Feng meant. The commotion here was too big, so a large group of people came out of the Qin mansion. The person walking at the front was an old man with fluttering white hair. When the Qin family saw him, they immediately lowered their heads and didn't dare to talk. This person was the elder of the Qin mansion, Qin Shitian. Dad! Grandpa! Grandpa! When Qin Shitian walked over, the Qin family members hurriedly greeted him respectfully. However, Qin Shitian didn't seem to hear them. He strode straight toward Qin Feng with his head held high. When he passed by Qin Xiao, he didn't even look at her. Grandpa! Qin Feng called out when he saw the elder standing in front of him. Qin Feng didn't have much affection for Qin Shitian. After all, Qin Feng had followed his father to Acropolis City since he was young. He rarely saw these relatives of the Qin family. Moreover, Qin Feng had some prejudice against his grandpa. When Qin Yi and Qin Xiao secretly attacked Qin Feng, his grandpa didn't even stop them. Qin Shitian's old eyes flickered as he stared fixedly at Qin Feng over and over again. The Qin family members stood at the side in bewilderment. They didn't know what was going on with the elder. Even Qin Feng was confused, but he was more nervous than anything else. Qin Feng realized that even though he had broken through to stage 9 inner qi, he was as weak as a sail in the sea in front of his grandpa. It was as if a wave could drown him. Grandpa, big brother Qin Feng rarely comes back. Please don't blame him, okay? Qin Duo Air suddenly went up and hugged Qin Shitian's arm, acting cute. Qin Feng glanced at Duo Air. The more he looked at her, the stranger he felt. This girl's closeness was beyond Qin Feng's expectation. Qin Shitian finally came back to his senses, and a layer of mist suffused his old eyes. But very quickly, the old man recovered his former dignified and domineering appearance, and he said with a cold expression, "It's rare for you to come back, yet you fight with your cousin as soon as you come back." The Qin family members trembled in fear when the elder lost his temper. Qin Duo Air also let go of her grandpa's arm. She didn't dare to act cute and plead for leniency. Qin Feng felt an indescribable flame in his heart. Facing his grandpa's vast aura, Qin Feng raised his head and said, "Grandpa, why don't you ask about the situation first before reprimanding me?" Qin Feng's reaction was out of Qin Shitian's expectation. He was slightly startled and looked at Qin Feng with interest. "Oh, why don't you tell me then? What reason would make you hit someone?" "It's my fault for beating someone up. But I came to Qin Manor to participate in the clan's martial competition tomorrow. Qin Xiao maliciously sent people to stop me and humiliate me. If I didn't retaliate, would I still be a man? Would I still be worthy of being a descendant of the Qin family?" Qin Feng's expression didn't change in the face of Qin Shitian's questioning. His voice was as loud as a bell. The Qin family members all had different expressions. They were shocked by Qin Feng's huge change. Many of them were secretly pleased with themselves. They looked at Qin Feng with schadenfreude. Provoking the elder's dignity in public was simply courting death. The oppressive atmosphere lasted for a long time. Qin Shitian suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. "Haha. Good, well said. This is my Qin family's descendant. Qin Feng, I'm very satisfied with your change. Welcome home." Qin Shitian suddenly hugged Qin Feng. His strong and powerful arms made Qin Feng gasp for breath. Qin Feng was already stunned. His impression of his grandfather was cold and emotionless. He didn't care about him and his father. But at this moment, Qin Feng could clearly feel his grandfather's deep and long-lasting love. Qin Feng even suspected that he was hallucinating. "Feng, are you here?" A hoarse voice came from the door. It turned out that Qin Shitian had come. Qin Shitian had already let go. Qin Feng dashed to his father's side and gave his father a tight bear hug. "Dad, I'm back to see you." Good, it's good that you're fine." The father and son hugged each other tightly. Thousands of words were powerless and pale at this moment. How could they express the deep feelings in their hearts? Qin Feng had never seen his mother since he was young. He was raised by Qin Shitian. Qin Shitian was both his father and mother. No matter how big the trouble Qin Feng caused, Qin Shitian was always the first to stand up for his son. Chapter 841. I'm rooting for Brother Bohan. He's so awesome. He got 30 monthly tickets all by himself. I was shocked when I saw it, haha. Haha, it's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Let's talk inside, don't stand at the door. Qin Shitian's hearty laughter spread out and broke the quiet atmosphere. He took the lead and walked into the courtyard of Qin Manor, and the rest of the Qin family followed. Qin Xiao was still lying on the ground, but Qin Shitian didn't even look at him. Qin Zheng had already rushed over, and when he saw his son lying on the ground, a hint of fury appeared in his eyes. He secretly glared at Qin Feng and his son a few times. Qin Mu also stood in the corner and stared at Qin Feng. That pair of dark and cold eyes moved back and forth, and no one knew what he was thinking. Seeing the fight finally settled, Qin Duoer revealed a brilliant smile and kept following behind Qin Feng, just like how she loved to follow Qin Feng out to play when she was young. Everyone followed Qin Shitian to the hall of the main residence. It was very spacious and was over 300 square meters. Even if dozens of people gathered at the same time, it didn't feel crowded at all. All kinds of dishes were laid out in the hall, and it was obvious that the family banquet had been prepared for a long time. However, it seemed like the banquet hadn't started yet, so they didn't know if there was anyone who hadn't arrived yet. Haha, everyone, get to your positions. Tonight, all the important figures of Qin family are here, so the family banquet can start. Qin Shitian seemed to be very happy tonight, and he couldn't close his mouth from smiling. The people of Qin family were all confused by the old patriarch. In short, after Qin Feng came, the old patriarch seemed to have changed into a different person. The family banquet that hadn't started suddenly because of Qin Feng's arrival. The people of Qin family weren't stupid, and many of them could see some clues. Had old patriarch Qin been waiting for Qin Feng all along? The family banquet started on a huge round table, and Qin Shitian sat at the very top. The seats on both sides that were closer to Qin Shitian represented a higher status. Qin Emperor and Qin Zheng sat on both sides of Qin Shitian, and below them were Qin Mu and Qin Chong. Qin Feng was in the third seat, and he sat beside Qin Duoer. The way he sat shocked everyone. Qin Feng had never been favored by the Qin family elder, and he had been the famous good-for-nothing young master of the Qin family since he was young. Who would have thought that after Qin Feng returned, the Qin family elder's attitude would completely change? Big brother Qin Feng, do you eat lobster? Duo, or will help you. Qin Duo, or didn't care about the seating. She was overjoyed to see Qin Feng return. Qin Feng was a bit embarrassed by his cousin's enthusiasm. When he saw Qin Duoer stand on her tiptoes and put a lobster in his bowl, Qin Feng suddenly felt a bit guilty. After all, Qin Duoer was his cousin. Blood was thicker than water. Moreover, the Qin family's patriarch had always been passed down to males and not females. In this family struggle, Qin Duoer was an outsider. Yet, Qin Feng kept distancing himself from Qin Duoer. This was so unfair. Duoer, this is for you. Qin Feng put down his chopsticks and placed the peeled lobster into Qin Duoer's bowl. Duoer looked at Qin Feng in surprise. She happily grabbed the lobster and ate it with relish. Yes, the lobster peeled by big brother Qin Feng is so delicious. Duoer wants to eat more. Qin Duoer's mouth was full of oil and looked very cute. Qin Feng wiped Duoer's mouth with a napkin and peeled a lobster for her. This warm and intimate scene made Qin Feng find the long-lost feeling of home. When Qin Huang and Qin Shitian saw this scene, their eyes became slightly moist. Qin Xiao didn't come to this family feast at all. Qin Zheng and Qin Mu kept their heads down and ate, ignoring everyone else. Originally, when the Qin family gathered together, it should have been a joyous and lively scene. However, the atmosphere seemed a little lacking, and there was a strange feeling to it. The rare family feast ended in a lukewarm atmosphere. Most of the people in the hall had left, but Qin Shitian was in no hurry to leave. Qin Feng, tomorrow is the day of the family martial meet. Are you ready? Qin Shitian suddenly asked Qin Feng. Qin Feng was slightly stunned. He said resolutely, Grandpa, I'm well prepared. I'm confident that I can become the young patriarch. Hee, that's good. Don't disappoint Grandpa. Qin Shitian left after saying that. Qin Feng felt that his grandpa was a little strange today. Qin Huang walked to Qin Feng's side. Feng come back with me to rest. Before Qin Feng could speak, Qin Duoer suddenly hugged Qin Feng's arm. She pouted and looked at Qin Huang pitifully. Big uncle, big brother Qin Feng hasn't come back for a long time. Can you let him play with me for a while before going to sleep? Qin Huang patted Qin Duo'er's head and smiled. Hee okay. You guys go play. Fourth brother, let's go first. Qin Huang called Qin Zhong. Qin Zhong looked at his daughter and left with Qin Huang with a smile. Big brother Qin Feng, where are we going to play? Once the adults left, Qin Duo'er completely let go. She jumped into Qin Feng's arms and hugged him without letting go. Qin Feng was shocked and immediately pushed Qin Duo'er away. Duo'er, you're already so big. There should be a difference between men and women. Qin Duo'er blushed and said shyly, You're my cousin, and we haven't seen each other for a long time. It's okay to hug. Qin Duo'er didn't expect Duo'er to have such deep feelings for him. When Qin Xiao was beaten to the ground, Duo'er didn't care about him at all. Duo'er, where do you want to go? As big brother Tang, Qin Feng blamed himself for not taking care of his cute little sister since she was young. Big brother Qin Feng, take me shopping. Grandpa loves me too much. He's afraid that I'll meet some bad people, so he locks me up in the old house every day. I'm going crazy. Qin Duo'er was so excited that she was about to fly when Qin Feng was willing to take her out. Qin Feng patted Qin Duo'er's head. This little sister was so adorable. After leaving the Qin mansion, Qin Duo'er was like a canary that escaped from its cage. She bounced on the street and attracted the attention of many men. Qin Duo'er wore a pink qipao and had her hair in 2 ponytails. She looked like a pure and innocent female lead in a youth drama. Qin Feng was entranced by her a few times. Big brother Qin Feng, that's the Happy Valley. Can you take me there? Qin Duo'er ran blindly on the street for a while. Then, she came back and hugged Qin Feng's arm. People who didn't know would think that they were a couple. Qin Feng doted on Qin Duo'er. If Qin Duo'er wanted the moon in the sky, Qin Feng would think of a way to get it for her, let alone going to the Happy Valley. The two of them quickly arrived at the Happy Valley. Qin Feng bought tickets and walked in with Qin Duo'er. Happy Valley also had a Disneyland theme tonight. The streets were filled with cartoon characters that were commonly seen in cartoons. There was also a carriage pulling Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. Qin Duo'er was very happy to see this. Although it was night time, there were still many tourists in the Happy Valley. Everyone was waiting in line to play. Qin Duo'er was timid. Qin Feng wanted to take her on a roller coaster or a ride on the mighty duo of heaven and earth. However, Qin Duo'er wouldn't go no matter what. In the end, she dragged Qin Feng to ride a merry-go-round. Both of them were riding on a wooden horse. Qin Duo'er was so happy that she looked like a flower. Qin Feng had a bitter smile on his face. He wondered how the people from the dragon sect would react if they knew that the azure dragon of Wuxia was riding on a merry-go-round. Big brother Qin Feng, let's play shooting. If we hit all of them, we'll even get dolls. Qin Duo'er was youthful and energetic. She pulled Qin Feng to a field for shooting balloons after getting off the wooden horse. Yo, pretty girl, you're so pretty. Do you want to shoot? I'll play with you. I'm a sharpshooter in this area. Qin Feng and Qin Duo'er had just walked over when a bald, perverted man with small eyes stared at Qin Duo'er. Beside the bald man were 3 men who looked like lackeys. They stared at Qin Duo'er, their eyes almost popping out of their sockets. I have my boyfriend with me. I don't need you guys. Qin Duo'er could tell that the 4 men had bad intentions. She glared at them with a huff. The bald man liked beautiful girls like Qin Duo'er. When he saw Qin Duo'er whining and complaining, he was so mesmerized that he couldn't walk. Pretty girl, that guy looks bad. Why did you find such a sissy as your boyfriend? I'll kick him out right now. The bald man had already sized up Qin Feng. He saw that Qin Feng looked like a sissy, so he didn't take him seriously. Brat, are you looking for a beating? Get out of here. Hey, why are you yelling at my boyfriend? You guys should leave. Qin Duo'er was unhappy and stomped her feet in anger. The bald man was mesmerized by Qin Duo'er's angry look again. He started to imagine her colorful expressions when he beat her up. Motherfucker, why aren't you leaving? I'll beat you to death. The bald man couldn't wait any longer and yelled at Qin Feng again. It was Qin Feng's first time taking Qin Duo Air out to play. He didn't want to beat her in front of her. It wouldn't be good if he scared her. Qin Feng looked at the bald man calmly. Why should I leave? I'm here to shoot. The bald man thought that threatening Qin Feng would scare the sissy away. He didn't think that Qin Feng wouldn't fall for it. This was Happy Valley, and there were many patrolling security guards. The bald man couldn't really beat Qin Feng. It would be troublesome if he was caught by the security guards. You have the nerve to shoot with that cowardly look of yours? Can you hit the balloon? The bald man yelled at Qin Feng. It's my business whether I can hit it or not. What does it have to do with you? Brat, I think you're very arrogant. Don't you know our brother Baldy is a sharpshooter in this area? Do you dare to compete with our brother Baldy? Let's see who can shoot more balloons. The three lackeys behind the bald man surrounded Qin Feng and started to yell at him. Qin Duo Air hated the bald man and his lackeys to death. She secretly pulled on Qin Feng's arm and wanted to leave, but Qin Feng didn't move at all. Okay, let's compete. If you lose, get out of my sight. Qin Feng's voice was low, but it emitted an overbearing aura. The bald man and his lackeys were shocked, but the bald man pretended to be calm. Okay, if you fucking lose, get out of my sight. I'll take care of your girl for you tonight. Qin Duo Air froze. She realized that Qin Feng had made a bet with someone else, and that she was the wager. Qin Duo Air started to worry. She looked at Qin Feng pitifully. Big brother Qin Feng, how about we stop shooting and go play something else? Qin Feng patted Qin Duo Air's head and smiled. Duo Air, don't worry, I won't lose. The bald man stared at Qin Duo Air. When he saw her act like a spoiled child, he almost pounced on her. Brat, are you ready? Let's compete. The bald man couldn't wait any longer. The three lackeys were getting restless. The three lackeys were quite confident in Baldy's marksmanship. This was because Baldy usually wandered around Happy Valley in order to pick up girls. He would pick up pretty girls whenever he saw one. Chapter 842. Baldy picked up his sensor gun and aimed at the row of balloons 3 meters away. The three lackeys surrounded Qin Feng and glanced at Qin Feng from time to time. Then, they peeked at Qin Duo Air's long legs with perverted eyes. Qin Duo Air was disgusted to death. She stood nervously by Qin Feng's side and held onto his arm, unwilling to let go. Although Qin Feng was sure he would win, Qin Duo Air was still worried. Bang! Baldy's first shot had already been fired, and one of the balloons exploded. Haha, bro Baldy is awesome. Hey, this game of shooting is like a game to bro Baldy. I'm used to it. The three lackeys shouted excitedly. It was only the first shot, but they looked like they had already won. Baldy was proud of himself. He looked at Qin Feng with a playful smile. His eyes were filled with provocation. Bang! Another 2 balloons exploded. Baldy was getting used to it. Bang! 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 The frequency of the balloons exploding increased. Baldy took a simple aim and started shooting. He fired 10 shots in a row. Only the last shot missed. It was a good result. Bro Baldy, you're awesome. Bro Baldy can be even better. It's not a problem for him to hit 10 out of 10. That last shot was just for fun. As soon as the 10 shots were fired, the 3 lackeys surrounded the bald man and started to flatter him. This tactic was very effective on Baldy. He was grinning from ear to ear. Hee hee. Brat, now you know how awesome I am. Do you know why I missed the last shot? I let you win on purpose. It's not too late to surrender now. Otherwise, you'll embarrass yourself later. Baldy missed the last shot because of his poor technique. Now he was bragging that he let Qin Feng win on purpose. Qin Feng didn't expose him and let Baldy boast. Qin Duo Air was worried. She tightened her grip on Qin Feng's arm. Qin Feng patted Qin Duo Air's soft hand and smiled brightly, telling her not to worry. Bro Qin Feng, you have to do your best. Qin Duo Air knew it was useless to run away, so she cheered Qin Feng on. Qin Feng flipped his hand, and a pair of black sunglasses appeared in his hand. He handed it to Qin Duo Air and said, Duo Air, I won't fight. You fight. Qin Duo Air was stunned. She didn't know how to shoot. She would definitely lose. Big brother Qin Feng, I can't do it. You do it. Qin Duo Air quickly declined. Qin Feng pressed his hands on Duo Air's shoulders. He looked at Qin Duo Air seriously and said, "Don't be afraid. Wear the sunglasses I gave you. Don't you trust me?" Qin Duo didn't understand Qin Feng's intentions. It was late at night, and Qin Feng wanted her to shoot with sunglasses on? Was he trying to push him into a pit of fire? However, Qin Duo Air chose to believe Qin Feng. She obediently put on her sunglasses and was stunned by the scene in front of her. Qin Feng gave Qin Duo a pair of binoculars he bought from the system. It was shaped like a pair of sunglasses. After she put on the night vision binoculars, the row of balloons in front of Qin Duo seemed to be within reach. She lifted the rifle, and the muzzle seemed to be stuck to the balloons. If she still couldn't hit the target, Qin Duo felt that she should jump into the sea. Haha, are you sure you want the little beauty to shoot? If she loses, you lose too. Baldy couldn't wait for Qin Duo Air to shoot. He could tell that Qin Duo Air didn't know how to shoot. Sure. If Duo Air wins, I win too. Qin Feng said indifferently. No problem. Baldy and his 3 lackeys were grinning from ear to ear. Qin Duo Air hadn't even started shooting, but they already looked like they had won. Qin Duo Air had long disliked Baldy and his lackeys. She angrily retreated a dozen steps and stood a dozen meters away from the balloons, ready to shoot. Baldy and his lackeys were stunned. Then they burst into laughter. Haha, big brother, this girl has quite a personality. It's good to have a personality. I like pretty and wild girls like her. Big brother Baldy, that girl is shooting from 10 meters away. If she wins, I'll live stream myself swallowing the gun. Bang! Before the 4 of them could finish their discussion, the sound of the balloon exploding was heard. Baldy and his lackey's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets when they saw the balloons explode. Impossible. Luck. That shot must have been luck. It's just a stroke of luck. Don't worry, guys. Bang! Baldy and his lackeys were comforting themselves when the second balloon exploded. They were so shocked that they didn't dare to speak. How could one be so lucky to get 2 shots? Bang! 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 Qin Duo Air aimed for a while before she fired the first 2 shots. She mainly wanted to get used to the feeling of shooting. When she got the feeling, the balloons exploded one after another like firecrackers. Bang! 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 The rules stated that she could only shoot 10 times, but Qin Duo Air was addicted to shooting. She was so excited that she shot over 100 balloons on the counter. A total of 123 shots. Every shot hit the target. Not a single shot missed. Baldy and the other 3 were dumbfounded. The owner of the stall was also dumbfounded. Many people surrounded Qin Duo Air to watch her shoot. When they saw a beautiful girl holding a rifle and shooting consecutively, everyone stared at Qin Duo Air with infatuated expressions. They could not take their eyes off her. After Qin Duo Air shot all the balloons, she threw down the gun and ran to Qin Feng with a pout. She threw herself into Qin Feng's arms and complained, "Big brother Qin Feng, I haven't even started shooting, and there are no more balloons. Wah wah." Qin Feng smiled and patted Qin Duo Air's head. "Then let the owner fill up the balloons for you. You can shoot as many as you want." Qin Duo Air shook her head and smiled. "Forget it. I don't want to shoot anymore. Those guys are so annoying. Let's go play somewhere else." Qin Duo Air pulled Qin Feng and was about to leave. Baldy and his lackeys finally came back to their senses and blocked Qin Feng. "Stinking brat, this round doesn't count. We agreed that you were the one competing with me. That girl's shot doesn't count." Baldy started to act shamelessly when he saw that he had lost. Qin Feng's eyes flashed with coldness. He was getting impatient. "Fuck off. Fuck, you dare to tell our Baldy to fuck off? I'll kill you." A lackey had already pounced towards Qin Feng, but before his fists could touch Qin Feng's body, he was sent flying. Qin Feng moved as fast as lightning. It was night time, so no one saw Qin Feng move. How did 4th bro get sent flying? I don't know. Who did it? Fuck, it must be that stinking brat. Kill him. Baldy and his lackeys were shocked by this strange event. After coming back to their senses, they pounced at Qin Feng. 3 muffled sounds rang out at the same time. No one saw what happened. Baldy and his lackeys were sent flying. After taking care of the 3 normal people, Qin Feng didn't take it to heart. He pulled Qin Duo air and left. The onlookers still hadn't come back to their senses. They were still wondering how Baldy and his lackeys got sent flying. Big brother Qin Feng, you sent those 4 bad guys flying, right? Qin Duo air giggled and asked Qin Feng after walking for a while. Yes, it was me. Qin Feng didn't hide it from Qin Duo air. He continued. Oh yeah, why did you say I was your boyfriend? Qin Duo air was holding onto Qin Feng's arm. Her face reddened, but she quickly regained her composure. I wasn't thinking that if I said I have a boyfriend, those bad people would leave. Who would have thought those 4 would be so shameless? They knew I had a boyfriend, but they still had the nerve to pester me. Qin Duo air's words made sense. Qin Feng didn't pursue the matter. The 2 of them strolled around the Happy Valley. Because Qin Duo air didn't dare to play those exciting games, the 2 of them walked back after a while. That night, Qin Duo air was extremely happy. She even hummed a cheerful tune on the way back. Duo air, go back and sleep, Qin Feng said to Qin Duo air when they returned to the Qin mansion. Big brother Qin Feng, take me back to my room. I'll be bored if I go back alone. We can still talk. Qin Duo air held Qin Feng's arm and wouldn't let go. She looked like she wanted to stay with Qin Feng forever. After that night, Qin Feng's relationship with Qin Duo air improved. After all, they were cousins. Even though they hadn't seen each other for many years, the familial feeling returned after spending some time with each other. Qin Feng doted on Duo air very much. When Duo air acted like a spoiled child, Qin Feng had no choice but to accompany her to her room. Qin Duo air's room was very big. The walls were covered with pink cartoon wallpaper. The bedsheets and curtains were also pink. It gave people a warm and sweet feeling. Big brother Qin Feng, sit on the bed for a while. Duo air will get you a glass of water. After Qin Duo air brought Qin Feng back to her room, she became even happier. She busied herself like a little wife. Qin Feng sat on the bed and looked around Qin Duo air's room. His gaze accidentally fell on a photo wall. It was filled with photos of Qin Duo air, from childhood to adulthood. Qin Feng looked carefully. Looking at these photos of different ages, it was as if he could see Qin Duo air growing up. Most of the photos were solo. There were very few photos of Duo air with Qin Xiao, Qin Yi and brother Tang. When Qin Feng saw the large photo in the middle, his expression changed. It was a photo of him and Duo air. In the photo, Qin Feng was 12 or 13 years old. Duo air was only about 10 years old. Qin Feng was sleeping on the stone table in the yard. Qin Duo air took this photo with her phone. Qin Feng looked like he was beaten. His face was bruised and swollen. It made people's hearts ache to see him. Ah, big brother Qin Feng, don't look. There are photos of Duo air when she was young. She wasn't even wearing clothes. Qin Duo air was walking over with a glass of water. When she saw the photo wall, she was so shocked that she almost spilled the water. Qin Feng came back to his senses and looked at Qin Duo air strangely. Duo air, why are you so close to me? Qin Feng had this question in his mind. Why, you're my big brother Tang. Of course I'm close to you. Qin Duo air's expression was a bit shy. No one knew what she was thinking. Qin Xiao is also your cousin. Did you guys grow up together in the Qin manor? Why aren't you that close to him? Qin Feng asked. Qin Duo air put the glass of water on the table and sat next to Qin Feng. Her youthful face was as gorgeous as the sunset. Big brother Qin Feng, why, you really want to know? Qin Duo air's voice was as soft as a mosquito. Qin Feng suddenly had a bad feeling. Tell me about it. I like you. Qin Duo air suddenly looked at Qin Feng. Her beautiful, starry eyes were filled with deep emotions. Qin Feng was so scared that he almost fainted. Duo air, you can't say things like that. I'm your cousin. Are you trying to scare me to death? Qin Feng's expression became serious. He was really scared. Seeing Qin Feng's reaction, Qin Duo air's big, watery eyes darted back and forth. No one knew what she was thinking. After a while, Qin Duo air suddenly held her stomach and laughed. Haha, big brother Qin Feng, I was just joking. Look at how pale you've become. Why are you even more timid than Duo air? Chapter 843. Duo air, be serious. Don't joke about this in the future. Qin Feng said with a straight face. The joinet Qin Duo heir pouted unhappily. Qin Feng's heart immediately softened. He put his arm around Duo heir's shoulders and patted her head. Duo heir, why did you take photos of me? Why was I beaten up? Qin Feng changed the topic and pointed at the biggest photo in the middle of the photo wall. Qin Duo heir burst into laughter and returned to her cute self. Big brother Qin Feng, you have the nerve to ask. You were weak and sickly when you were young. When did you not get beaten up? Qin Feng rolled his eyes. He suddenly didn't want to talk to Qin Duo heir anymore. Qin Duo heir realized she said the wrong thing. She stuck out her tongue and continued. Big brother Qin Feng, you asked me why I'm so close to you. That photo is the reason. You were 12 and Duo heir was 10. That year, you went back to the Qin Manor for the new year. I was playing at the gate, and a group of hooligans tried to rob me of my lucky money. Qin Xiao, Brother Tang, and Brother Tang were there. But they didn't do anything as they watched me get bullied. Later, Big brother Qin Feng ran out to get revenge. Though Big brother Qin Feng was beaten up as soon as he came out, you protected me in your arms. That incident left a deep impression on me. From then on, I liked Big brother Qin Feng and treated you like my real big brother. Later, Big brother Qin Feng was too strong-willed. You didn't tell the adults that you were beaten up. You laid on the stone bench in the yard to rest and fell asleep. Duo heir stayed by your side the whole time and took that photo. Qin Duo heir's eyes were misty. She seemed to have returned to the past. It had been 10 years since then, and Qin Feng had long since forgotten about it. Qin Feng looked at the photo again and realized he was very handsome when he was young. No wonder he became even more handsome when he grew up. Big brother Qin Feng, why did you rush out to save me? You weren't strong at all. You must have known you were going to get beaten up. This was a question Qin Duo heir had buried in her heart for many years. After 10 years, the siblings sat together warmly and sweetly. Qin Duo heir couldn't help but ask. Though Qin Feng had forgotten about it, he could guess why he showed up. Qin Feng patted Qin Duo heir's head and said seriously, because we're a family. His words were simple, but they filled Qin Duo heir's heart with warmth. Qin Duo heir suddenly flipped over and sat in Qin Feng's embrace. She hugged Qin Feng's waist tightly and refused to let go. Duo heir, what are you doing? Hurry and let go. Qin Feng jumped in fright. He had only done this kind of ambiguous position with his women. Big brother Qin Feng, let me hug you for a while. We haven't seen each other for 4 years. Ever since Qin Feng turned 18, the annual family banquets were cancelled. Qin Feng hadn't seen his cousin in 4 years. The two of them hugged each other in an ambiguous position, but Qin Feng didn't have any improper thoughts. This was the first time he felt that hugging a woman was such a torturous thing. All right, big brother Qin Feng, quickly go back and rest. You must be careful in the clan martial meet tomorrow. Qin Duo heir suddenly jumped down from Qin Feng's body. Her beautiful eyes were filled with worry for Qin Feng. Qin Feng had been sitting on the bed and didn't dare to move. Now his legs were a bit numb. Duo heir, don't worry. I'll be fine. Qin Feng patted Qin Duo heir's head, then said goodbye and left the room. After Qin Feng left, Qin Duo heir's expression was a bit downcast. She walked to the window and looked at the hazy moonlight outside. She muttered to herself, Big brother Qin Feng, I like you. What should I do? Anyway, you're not my biological brother Tang. Should I tell you about this? Qin Feng had already returned to his father's courtyard. This was where Qin Huang grew up. But after he went to Acropolis City, the courtyard became empty. It was getting late. Qin Huang was still awake. He sat at the stone table in the courtyard, drinking to drown his sorrows. From time to time, he raised his head to look at the hazy moonlight. There were a lot of things he wanted to say. Tomorrow was the day of the clan martial meet. Qin Huang was even more worried than Qin Feng. Half a year ago, Qin Huang had no intention of letting Qin Feng participate in the clan martial meet. Qin Feng was born unable to cultivate. Qin Huang brought him to Acropolis City because he hoped that Qin Feng could live a peaceful life. As for the Qin family's disputes and the identity of Qin Feng's mother, Qin Huang planned to bury them in his stomach and let them rot in his heart. But half a year ago, Qin Feng started to turn the tables. He had climbed step by step from a young playboy who didn't have the strength to truss a chicken to the position of the Green Dragon of Hua State. Such a great change and rapid growth shocked the Qin Emperor and Uncle Fu. Now Qin Feng had changed. He became even more powerful than Qin Huang. Qin Feng took the initiative to take on the heavy responsibility of investigating his mother's whereabouts. While Qin Huang was gratified, he was more worried. It was because the Qin Emperor knew better than Qin Fen that once the identity of his mother was revealed, Qin Fen would have to face more powerful forces and more enemies. This was like a never-ending cycle, and it was hard to say if it would be solved one day. "Dad, you're not asleep yet?" The door to the courtyard suddenly opened and Qin Feng walked in. Qin Huang hurriedly put away his messy thoughts and greeted him with a smile. At least for this moment, the father and son were reunited and happy. Qin Huang was a person who knew how to cherish the present situation. "Feng, did you have fun with your little sister Duo Air?" Qin Huang pulled Qin Feng to sit on the stone bench. Qin Feng poured himself a cup of wine and drank with his father. "Little sister Duo Air is very kind and close to me. I get along well with her." When Qin Feng talked about Qin Duo Air, he felt a surge of warmth in his heart. It was the taste of family love. Qin Huang was also very happy. After toasting Qin Feng, he said, "Duo Air has no right to be the heir of the Qin family. She's an obedient child. You can keep in touch with her in the future. After all, you're all members of the Qin family." Qin Feng was prepared to do this, even if Qin Huang didn't say it. After chatting about Qin Duo Air for a bit, Qin Feng got to the main topic. "Dad, tomorrow is the clan martial competition. I'm 100% sure I can win. You promised me that when I become the heir of the Qin family, you'll tell me about Mother." Qin Feng looked at his father expectantly. Qin Huang knew that what would come would come. Qin Feng suddenly becoming so powerful was the will of the heavens. Even Qin Huang couldn't stop it. "Dad keeps his word. I'll be waiting for your spectacular performance tomorrow. It's getting late, go back to your room and sleep." Seeing Qin Feng return to his room, Qin Huang continued to sit in the courtyard, drinking wine while facing the bright moon. He still couldn't let go of the worry in his heart. Qin Feng hadn't returned to this room in a long time. Before he turned 18, Qin Feng would stay here for a few days during the new year. Although he hadn't been here for 4 years, when Qin Feng lay on the wooden bed, a familiar and warm feeling enveloped his body. This was home. No matter where you were, it would always be there after so many years. Qin Feng wasn't too worried about the clan martial competition tomorrow. Taking advantage of this rare moment of leisure, Qin Feng's consciousness entered the hedonist sovereign system. Shimen Chui Shuev Plum Villa greets Master. Western Poison Ouyang Feng greets Master. As soon as Qin Feng entered, 2 heroes came to greet him. Hua Tuo was placed in Hero City by Qin Feng, so he wasn't in the system. Little Pig, Glacial Snow Mastiff, and Flaming Golden Eagle also came to greet him. After the battle with the Black Demon Bear at Devil Beast Mountain, Qin Feng put the 2 injured battle pets back into the system to recuperate. The Flaming Golden Eagle was completely healed, and the Glacial Snow Mastiff's demon core was given to Qin Feng. However, it had already formed a new demon core. Qin Feng played with the 3 pets for a while, then checked the interface of the Million Treasure Pavilion. The interface of the Million Treasure Pavilion was the interface that rewarded Qin Feng for helping Saint Medic win the title of King of Elixirs. Qin Feng didn't have time to check it at the time. Now he finally had some free time. Million Treasure Pavilion. This interface could be used to store equipment, elixirs, medicinal ingredients, and other items. White equipment could be turned into orange equipment. First-grade elixirs could be turned into second-grade elixirs, and ordinary medicinal ingredients could be turned into high-grade medicinal ingredients and materials. The introduction of the Million Treasure Pavilion was simple and easy to understand. Qin Feng immediately understood the function of this interface. "Little Pig, is there a limit to the items that can be stored in the Million Treasure Pavilion?" Qin Feng asked. "Of course there's a limit. Master, you want to put blue and purple spiritual equipment in the Million Treasure Pavilion, and then store them into purple and pink spiritual equipment, right?" At least with the current level of the Million Treasure Pavilion, it's impossible. Little Pig could read Qin Feng's mind. Without Qin Feng saying anything, Little Pig poured a bucket of cold water over his head. Qin Feng rolled his eyes. He was really going to throw the blue sky splitter and purple bloodthirsty dagger into the Million Treasure Pavilion. It would be great if he could store them into purple and pink equipment. Qin Feng also wanted to find a few 6th grade golden cores and throw them into the Million Treasure Pavilion. It would be amazing if he could store them into 7th grade golden cores. Qin Feng had a lot of ideas, but they were extinguished by Little Pig as soon as they popped up. What level of items can the Million Treasure Pavilion store now? How many items can it store at one time? Qin Feng asked. The Million Treasure Pavilion, the Cauldron of Heaven and Earth, and the Heroes Alliance can all be upgraded. The Million Treasure Pavilion is divided into 9 stars, and it's currently a 1-star Million Treasure Pavilion. Little Pig introduced the Million Treasure Pavilion in detail. In 1-star mode, 10 items can be stored in the Million Treasure Pavilion at one time, and only the lowest level items can be stored. Upgrading from 1-star to 2-star requires 50,000 Hedonist points. Qin Feng felt that 10 items could be stored at one time wasn't a small amount. However, the 1-star Million Treasure Pavilion could only store the lowest level items. In that case, the 1-star Million Treasure Pavilion can only store 1st grade Wonder Pills, White grade Spiritual Energy, and the lowest level materials. Qin Feng wanted to confirm. Master, it's like this, Little Pig said. Qin Feng was somewhat disappointed. The lowest level items were of little use to Qin Feng's current strength, and he was too lazy to upgrade those types of items. Master, you can put the materials for refining the Cosmic Flying Sword in the Million Treasure Pavilion. That way, the materials will be of higher quality after storage, Little Pig suggested. During this time, Qin Feng had been collecting materials for the Cosmic Flying Sword. He already had a lot of materials in the Emerald Spirit Ring. Qin Feng moved his mind slightly, and purple star sand, black luo wood spirit stones, yuan meteor stones, 100-year ice crystals, gold bars, heaven and earth yuan stones, and other items appeared on the bed. However, when Qin Feng wanted to put the items into the Million Treasure Pavilion, he found that a few items couldn't be sent in at all. Master, half of your materials belong to the 2-star Million Treasure Pavilion. You need to upgrade the Million Treasure Pavilion before you can store these materials, Little Pig reminded. The quality of the Cosmic Flying Sword was the most important to Qin Feng. No matter how powerful China's 9 dragons were, no one could fly on a sword and kill people with it. Qin Feng didn't think too much about it. He immediately spent 50,000 Hedonist points to upgrade the Million Treasure Pavilion. Ding! Congratulations, host Qin Feng, for spending 50,000 Hedonist points to upgrade the 1-star Million Treasure Pavilion to 2-star Million Treasure Pavilion. The host's Hedonist points total is 16,000. Boom! A loud explosion sounded, and the space in the Million Treasure Pavilion doubled. Golden light shone in all directions, and it looked much more high-class than before. Qin Feng moved his mind again, and all the materials for refining the Cosmic Flying Sword were stored in the Million Treasure Pavilion. A 2-star Million Treasure Pavilion could store 20 items at the same time, and the time needed to store them was twice as long as a 1-star Million Treasure Pavilion. Storing 20 materials at the same time cost Qin Feng 5 mid-grade spirit stones. However, Qin Feng had obtained quite a lot of spirit stones when he was exploring Ghost Mountain, so it wasn't a problem for Qin Feng. 4th update. Thank you, brother, for your support and rewards. Brothers, do you still have monthly tickets? Please send more. Chapter 844. Someone once said that Qin Feng was trash. Someone once said that Qin Feng only knew how to pick up girls. But this was all in the past, and the current Qin Feng made everyone in the Qin family feel a deep fear. Early in the morning, the training field in the Qin family's backyard was filled with people. They were all direct descendants and collateral relatives, within 3 generations of the Qin family. Today was a big day for the Qin family. They were going to hold a family martial meet and elect the position of the young patriarch. Different from the Yunza family's martial meet, only direct descendants had the qualifications to participate in the Qin family martial meet. Furthermore, the position of patriarch was passed down to males and not females. But there were similarities. The martial meet would have 2 rounds of competition, the martial competition and the strength competition. Because the contestants had to be direct descendants, there were only 3 contestants in the Qin family martial meet: Qin Feng, Qin Shao, and the 3rd son of the Qin family. Only 2 of the 3 contestants had arrived. Qin Feng and Qin Shao were already standing on one side of the training field. Qin Feng's expression was calm, and no one could tell what he was thinking. Qin Shao, on the other hand, was slightly nervous. After witnessing Qin Feng's skills last night, Qin Shao didn't sleep well. Qin Shitian sat on the stone chair at the highest point of the viewing area. His old and dignified expression was very grave as he stared at Qin Feng and sized him up. After watching for a moment, Qin Shitian stood up. He was tens of meters away from the training field, but when he opened his mouth, his strong aura and voice spread to every corner of the training field. Qin Feng, are you ready? I'm ready. Qin Feng's voice wasn't weak either. It was loud and clear like a bell. Qin Shao, what about you? I'm ready. Qin Shao was a little lacking in confidence, but he already had no room to retreat. Alright, I now announce that the Qin family martial meet begins. Following Qin Shitian's roar, the Qin family martial meet officially began. Qin Feng and Qin Shao leaped onto the training field. Both of them stood 5 meters away from each other and looked at each other. The sound of metal clashing reverberated in the air, and the atmosphere turned heavy in an instant. Qin Shao was already in position to attack. His expression was serious, as if he was facing a great enemy. Without waiting for the gong to ring, Qin Feng suddenly said, "Wait, let that old man come up as well. You two fight with me together." Qin Feng pointed at the audience stand. The person he pointed at was Uncle Yan, who was wearing a black training suit. Uncle Yan's expression changed drastically. Obviously, he was shocked by Qin Feng's behavior. Not only Uncle Yan, but the entire audience was in an uproar. All the members of the Qin family were dumbfounded. Uncle Yan was Qin Zhao's personal bodyguard. Everyone in the Qin family knew Uncle Yan's strength. He was an expert who had reached stage 8 inner qi for a long time. In the entire Qin family, Uncle Yan's strength was only lower than Old Master Qin Shitian's. Qin Feng's performance was too confident, so much so that everyone thought he was overconfident and arrogant. Everyone had seen that Qin Feng could defeat Qin Shao last night. However, if Uncle Yan was added into the mix, no one would continue to be optimistic about Qin Feng's chances. Brother Qin Feng, Qin Duo, and Qin Huang came back to their senses. Both of them looked at Qin Feng anxiously and wanted to persuade him to stop. However, before they could say anything, Qin Feng waved his hand and interrupted them. "Grandpa, this is my decision after careful consideration. I hope you can grant my wish." Qin Feng looked at Qin Shitian on the high platform with unswerving determination. Qin Shitian's expression became more and more serious. Even he couldn't see through Qin Feng's thoughts. Qin Feng was not arrogant, nor was he pretending to be pretentious. As the Green Dragon of China, as long as he casually spread his name, it would be more pretentious than anything else. Qin Feng had an irreconcilable conflict with Uncle Yan. The members of the Qin family, Qin Shitian, and even Qin Huang didn't know about this conflict. During the battle at the Amethyst Dragon Palace, Qin Shao appeared for the first time with Uncle Yan. Uncle Yan attacked, killed Qin Yi, and broke Qin Feng's flying dragon armor. At the moment of life and death, it was Shimen Chueshue who saved Qin Feng. Otherwise, Qin Feng would have been dead. After that, the two of them fought one after another. Qin Feng escaped from danger several times. At that time, Qin Feng's strength was too low, and he couldn't defeat Uncle Yan. Every time he saw Uncle Yan, he would either run away, or let Shimen Chueshue fight him. Qin Feng didn't like this feeling. Now that Qin Feng had transformed into a butterfly, it was time for him to take revenge. Qin Shitian's expression changed several times. Finally, he regained his calm. Qin Shitian had already made his decision. He said in a low voice, Since Qin Feng requested to challenge 2 people at once, then we'll do as he says. For the sake of fairness, Qin Feng can only win if he defeats 2 people. As soon as Qin Shitian's voice fell, the audience burst into an uproar. Since the establishment of the Qin family, they had held many family martial gatherings. However, this was the first time a contestant requested to challenge 2 people at the same time. Wasn't this asking for trouble? Moreover, Qin Shitian actually agreed to Qin Feng's request. Qin Feng is too arrogant. Originally, he had a high chance of winning first place in the martial gathering. Now it seems like he's courting death. He's still too young. His heart isn't steady enough. A good-for-nothing young master suddenly became powerful. He wanted to show off in front of us at the martial gathering. But in the end, he's going to become a retard. Almost all the discussions were against Qin Feng. Only Qin Huang, Qin Duo and Qin Shitian didn't say anything. The 3 of them had grave expressions, and their gazes were fixed on Qin Feng. They were all worried about him. Thud. With a light sound, Uncle Yen had already landed beside Qin Xiao. Qin Xiao, who originally had no confidence, suddenly became strong. A playful smile blossomed on his face. In his heart, he was grateful to Qin Feng. This big brother of his is really sick in the head. Qin Feng, you think too highly of yourself. Perhaps I really couldn't defeat you just now. Now you can only be abused. Qin Xiao looked at Qin Feng proudly. He stopped his attack and prepared to watch Uncle Yen make his move in a moment. Uncle Yen stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His expression was also very grave. He stared at Qin Feng from the beginning to the end and didn't say a word. Qin Feng also didn't say anything, because the strong would only prove themselves with their strength. Only the weak would find comfort in words. The atmosphere became even colder. The Qin family members were full of anticipation. Because of Uncle Yan's sudden participation, this martial arts competition was more interesting than they had imagined. Dong! The long-awaited gong rang abruptly, signifying the official start of the martial arts competition. The 3 people in the arena didn't move. Qin Xiao didn't plan to make a move, because he thought Uncle Yen was enough. Uncle Yen didn't dare to make a move. After observing Qin Feng for a long time, he found that he couldn't see through Qin Feng's strength. Qin Feng's aura was as vast as the sea. It was the aura of a Stage 9 inner Qi expert. Qin Feng has stepped into Stage 9 inner Qi? Uncle Yen wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. Uncle Yen, hurry up. Qin Xiao couldn't wait anymore and started to urge Uncle Yen. Qin Feng's determination was much stronger than Uncle Yen had imagined. Uncle Yen was waiting for Qin Feng to make the first move. In a battle between experts, there would be a flaw in the first move, and Qin Feng would be at a disadvantage. Buzz! Uncle Yen raised his palm. He couldn't wait any longer, so he made the first move. It seemed like a simple flick of his sleeve, but a dozen sharp sword chi shot out. The orange sword chi flashed and landed in front of Qin Feng after a few flashes. Qin Feng didn't move, but an invisible airflow barrier surged around him. When the dozen or so sword chis landed on it, they were like pebbles sinking into the ocean. They were instantly swallowed and disappeared without a trace. The audience was in an uproar. Although it was only a single move, it was obvious who was the winner. Qin Shitian stood up in excitement. His old eyes shone with a bright light, as if he had seen a treasure trove. Uncle Yen, what's going on? Qin Xiao was a little nervous, because he felt a great pressure. Uncle Yen didn't even have time to answer Qin Xiao. He raised his right hand again. This time, the strength and range of the swing were doubled. Dozens of orange lights flashed again, like twinkling stars in the night sky, bringing with it a whistling sound of the wind. Qin Feng still didn't move, but the turbulent airflow around him became more violent. The orange sword chi fell half a meter in front of Qin Feng and disappeared again. The audience exclaimed continuously. Everyone was deeply shocked by Qin Feng's strength. Uncle Yan's calm old face wrinkled, and his eyes flashed with surprise. Take this sword. Uncle Yen opened his mouth. He had been releasing sword chi, but he did not see a sword in Qin Feng's hand. He raised his hand again, and a short sword flashing with orange light shot out from his sleeve. It turned into a dozen light shadows, and shot towards Qin Feng. This time, Qin Feng raised his hand. Instantly, a white light flashed and the wind whistled. Countless wind blades blossomed like 100 flowers, colliding with the orange light in midair and exploding. Loud noises resounded continuously, and the surging violent airflow scattered in all directions, forcing Uncle Yen to take 5 steps back. Qin Xiao, who did not know what was going on, was directly sent flying. Bang! Qin Xiao fell hard on the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with astonishment. He didn't expect Qin Feng to be so powerful. He was sent flying by the airflow of the explosion, just by watching the fight. Young master, are you okay? Uncle Yan's qi was in disorder. He quickly used his qi to suppress his surging qi and blood, while asking about Qin Zhao's condition. Qin Xiao felt better after spitting out the blood, so he forced himself to stand up. When he looked at Qin Feng again, there was a hint of fear in Qin Zhao's eyes. He had underestimated Qin Feng's strength. He did not dare to believe that Qin Feng had leaped from a good-for-nothing to a realm where he could fight against Uncle Yen in just half a year. Uncle Yen, how are you? Qin Xiao looked at Uncle Yen nervously. He was afraid that Uncle Yen would say that he was no match for Qin Feng. I didn't use my strength just now. I'll go and fight with that brat later. After Uncle Yen stabilized his inner qi, his body flashed and instantly appeared above Qin Feng's head. He held the orange sword in his hand and slashed down from the sky. This slash looked ordinary, but it set off an earth-shattering momentum. Qin Xiao, who was standing at the side, could feel the ground of the martial arts field shaking slightly. It's the last day of August, and you're still in the 10th place of the monthly votes. Today is the crucial moment to decide the result of this month's hard work. Chapter 845. Uncle Yen, the #1 guard of the Qin clan. Aside from Yuan Fu, who was no longer a guard of the Qin clan, Uncle Yen was the most powerful guard of the Qin clan. Uncle Yen specialized in swordsmanship, and his 7 blades of remnant soul was full of wonders. The orange blade of remnant soul was unstoppable. Uncle Yen alone could dominate most of the families in the provincial capital. However, he felt pressured when facing Qin Feng, who was only over 20 years old. Rumble! The air above Qin Feng's head suddenly exploded. Uncle Yan's sword had already fallen. In the air, another orange blade appeared. It was even brighter than the sword of remnant soul in Uncle Yan's hand. The Chongling sword slashed in the air. This sword was as simple as Uncle Yan's, and it was also full of wonders. Bang! 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 The sound of explosions spread again. The sound was as rhythmic as firecrackers. Qin Feng raised his sword, but he had already retreated a few steps. Uncle Yen, who was in the air, had no time to dodge. He was sent flying by the surging sword energy. Dong! Uncle Yen fell to the ground. He was in a worse state than Qin Xiao. A deep pit was formed on the hard concrete ground. Uncle Yan's black training clothes were in tatters, and his exposed skin was full of blood marks. This time he was seriously injured. Uncle Yen, what's going on? You can't defeat that guy. Qin Xiao was dumbfounded. If even Uncle Yen couldn't defeat Qin Feng, then he had no hope at all. Up to this point, Qin Feng and Uncle Yen had already exchanged dozens of blows. However, both of them were extremely fast. Dozens of blows were exchanged in the blink of an eye, and it only took them less than 5 minutes. In the short 5 minutes, the Qin clan members on the spectator stand had a drastic change of heart. At first, they laughed at Qin Feng and looked down on him. They even thought that Qin Feng was acting tough. However, at this moment, they felt that Qin Feng was indeed acting tough. However, he had the strength to act tough. Qin Feng should act tough. Stars twinkled in Qin Duo Air's beautiful eyes. She was so excited that her face turned red. Qin Fen had already told the Qin Emperor that he had defeated Zilong of Wuxia. However, hearing about it and seeing it with his own eyes were two completely different things. After witnessing Qin Fen's skills, the Qin Emperor was completely stunned. A flame of hope was suddenly ignited in the depths of his despairing heart. Maybe Qin Feng could really find his mother. He really had the strength to fight against those people. Qin Shitian was also very excited. He was so excited that he crushed the armrest of the stone chair into powder. He was completely unaware that Qin Feng's transformation was earth-shattering. His counterattack today had shocked everyone present. Uncle Yin stood up again. He had secretly thrown a few pills into his mouth to heal his wounds. Of course, this did not escape Qin Feng's eyes, but Qin Feng did not care. Uncle Yan's expression changed. He stared at Qin Feng vigilantly, as if he was facing a formidable enemy. He had been stuck in the Stage 8 Inner Qi realm for 5 years, and he was only one step away from entering the Stage 9 Inner Qi realm. Uncle Yan's swordsmanship was extraordinary, and Uncle Yan had never been in such a difficult situation, even when facing a Stage 9 Inner Qi expert. Uncle Yan was sure that Qin Feng was a Stage 9 Inner Qi expert. Uncle Yan found it unbelievable that Qin Feng had reached Stage 9 Inner Qi at such a young age. Your swordsmanship is pretty good, but it's still lacking in maturity, Qin Feng said emotionlessly and calmly. Uncle Yan grabbed the remnant soul sword and took a step forward. He stood side by side with Qin Xiao and said to Qin Xiao, "Let's attack him together. I'll try my best to control him, and you find an opportunity to strike." Qin Xiao was slightly stunned. He did not expect Qin Feng to be so powerful that Uncle Yin wanted him to help him deal with Qin Feng. Buzz! Before Qin Xiao could reply, Uncle Yin swung his sword. He no longer maintained the posture of an expert and only attacked with his sword. At this moment, Uncle Yan's hands were waving wildly, and the patterns of his attacks were complicated and unpredictable. Sword chimes sounded everywhere. In the blink of an eye, countless sword chi surrounded Qin Feng from all directions. The number of sword chi was increasing rapidly, and his aura was also skyrocketing. Qin Feng was surrounded by the sound of explosions, as if he was surrounded by a pile of bombs. Rumble! Rumble! The violent chi shook the ground. Qin Feng was in the center of the sword chi, and a violent airflow barrier surged around him. Qin Feng's eyes lit up when he saw Uncle Yan's attack. However, the light only flashed in his eyes for a second. Qin Feng had already swung the Spirit Blast sword in his hand. Solitary 9 swords. It was a light strike, not as fancy as Uncle Yan's. A stream of sword chi that seemed to have solidified surged out, instantly slicing the air in front of Qin Feng into two. The sword energy released by Uncle Yan was completely devoured, and Qin Feng's sword energy was slightly weakened. However, the core of the sword energy still collided with Uncle Yan's chest. It sent Uncle Yan flying, and he was about to land on the training ground dozens of meters away. Qin Feng died. Qin Xiao suddenly slapped Uncle Yan while he was still floating in the air. Qin Feng had just swung his sword, and he did not have time to retract his qi. He punched with his right fist, and a thunderous roar and a tiger's roar spread out at the same time. Rumble! 2 fists collided. Qin Feng staggered and took 2 steps back. Qin Xiao unleashed all of his inner qi in that attack. However, he had just stepped into Stage 8 Inner Qi, so he was pitifully small in Qin Feng's eyes. Qin Xiao was sent flying and landed on the edge of the training field. His body created a big pit on the hard ground, and he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Qin Feng was the only one left standing on the training field. In less than 10 minutes, Qin Feng had defeated both Uncle Yan and Qin Xiao. Everyone was so shocked by Qin Feng's strength that they could hardly breathe. Did he win? How could he win so easily? Is this kid still Qin Feng? Was Qin Feng a wastrel when he was young? Didn't the old man say that he couldn't cultivate? Was the old man lying? To be able to defeat Uncle Yan so easily, he must have stepped into the ranks of Stage 9 Inner Qi experts. How old is Qin Feng? He is the youngest Stage 9 Inner Qi expert in China. After a short moment of silence, the crowd boiled over. The Qin family members were talking about Qin Feng again. However, their attitude towards Qin Feng had changed by 180 degrees. They were no longer optimistic about Qin Feng, but they were in awe of him. In everyone's eyes, the result of this martial arts competition had been decided. Qin Feng defeated both Qin Xiao and Uncle Yan by himself. Among the younger generation of the Qin family, who could be a match for him? Rumble! When Qin Shitian was about to announce the result, Qin Xiao, who was lying on the ground, suddenly exploded. After the loud noise, Qin Xiao suddenly leaped up. His aura became even more berserk, as if nothing had happened just now. Roar! Qin Feng, no matter what, I will kill you today. Qin Xiao, who was beaten to the point where he couldn't even get up, suddenly changed into a different person. He looked up to the sky and roared like a crazed beast. His eyes glowed with a dazzling blood-red color, and his originally handsome and fair face became sinister and cold. This scene gave Qin Feng a familiar feeling. Crazy. Qin Xiao has entered a crazy demon state. Qin Feng quickly discovered the situation. When he fought with Su Xiaotian at Broken Cliff Mountain, he ate the violent demon pill and entered a crazy demon state. Qin Zhao's current behavior was obviously the same as him. However, Qin Zhao's crazy demon state was very thorough. His eyes became empty, and he completely lost his consciousness when he entered a crazy demon state. Roar! 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 Qin Xiao had completely turned into a bloodthirsty demon king. He indeed ate the violent demon pill and entered a crazy demon state. However, Qin Xiao didn't have the grade 6 violent demon pill. He ate the grade 4 crazy demon pill. Compared to the violent demon pill, the crazy demon pill also had the effect of forcing people into a crazy demon state. However, the crazy demon pill couldn't preserve the user's consciousness. After taking it, a huge hidden danger would be left in the user's body. Rumble. After entering a crazy demon state, Qin Zhao's aura increased by several times. With a simple punch, he smashed a big hole in the air. While Qin Feng was absent-minded, the air in front of his chest became violent. The surging aura seemed to be able to devour the heaven and earth. The Qin family members, who were dozens of meters away, felt a wave of pressure. Qin Feng had the opportunity to dodge Qin Zhao's punch, but he didn't. Instead, he punched Qin Xiao in the face. Two powerful fist winds collided in midair. The two of them were still separated by a meter, but Qin Xiao could no longer take half a step forward. His hideous face became even more twisted, and the clothes on his body exploded in the sound of the explosion. Qin Xiao, who had just entered a crazy demon state, was sent flying. Rumble. The sound of explosions in the air didn't stop. They continued to explode. Although the crazy demon state was powerful, whether it was the body's endurance or attack power, it was nothing in the face of absolute power. Qin Feng retreated 3 steps after he punched Qin Feng. He hastily circulated his qi to suppress the surging blood and qi in his body. Qin Feng, who was at the early stage of Stage 9 inner qi, could fight against a Stage 9 inner qi expert. With such a powerful skill, he directly broke through the crazy demon state and pushed aside the wildness and madness. Rumble. Qin Xiao floated in the air for a long time. When he finally landed, a huge hole appeared on the ground. Qin Xiao, who had just entered a berserk state, was forcefully awakened by Qin Feng's punch. The blood in his eyes had already faded, and his berserk aura had dissipated with the wind. He lay half dead in the deep pit, and didn't even have the strength to climb out. The situation happened too fast. Before the Qin family members could recover from Qin Zhao's crazy demon state, the situation changed again. Looking at Qin Feng, who was still standing upright on the martial arts field, everyone was in awe. At this moment, they finally saw Qin Feng's strength. The atmosphere was silent for a long time. Qin Shirtian finally regained his senses. His skinny body slightly trembled in the cold wind. His muddy eyes flickered with a crystal light. In this match, Qin Feng defeated Uncle Yin and Qin Xiao. Now, I announce that Qin Feng is the winner of this martial arts tournament. Chapter 846. The sudden voice broke the rhythm of the Qin family's martial arts competition. Qin Shirtian stopped and didn't continue to announce the result. Everyone in the spectator stands looked into the distance. A man wrapped in a black cloth bag flew over, revealing only a pair of bright black eyes. The man's body was as light as a swallow. After a few breaths, he landed on the martial arts field 5 meters away from Qin Feng. Qin Feng narrowed his eyes and stared at the man. The man also stared at Qin Feng with a cold, murderous look in his eyes. Although the man didn't reveal his face, Qin Feng recognized him immediately. This man had been working with the William family and had ambushed Qin Feng several times. After Qin Feng and Hua Yin completed the mission of killing Taoist Rakshasa at Ghost Mountain, they were ambushed by the man covered in black and Prince William on their way back. Later on, when Qin Feng and Yin Wushuang completed the mission of the William family, they fought in the biological laboratory of Provincial Capital University, and the man covered in black appeared and rescued Professor Mike. Qin Feng didn't know the identity of the man standing in front of him. However, Qin Feng had a rough idea of who the man was since he called Qin Shitian grandpa. "Are you Qin Wudao?" Qin Feng asked coldly. The man covered in black suddenly burst into laughter. In front of Qin Feng, he untied the black cloth bag layer by layer. It was a resolute and familiar face. It was Qin Ye's elder brother Qin Wudao. In the Qin family of the provincial capital, Qin Feng had 4 cousins in his generation: Qin Feng, Qin Xiao, Qin Yi, and Qin Wudao. Qin Yi and Qin Wudao lived in Jincheng City. One of them was a scholar, while the other was a martial artist. Qin Yi was known as Prince Wen because of his outstanding intelligence and literary talent. Qin Wudao was known as Prince Wu because he was talented in martial arts. Qin Xiao was a master of both literature and martial arts. He could deceive Qin Yi and Qin Feng in a battle of wits, and was a stage 8 inner chi expert in a battle of martial arts. The 3 of them were well-known figures among their peers in the provincial capital, and even in China. Any one of them was as bright as a god's favored son. However, fate had arranged for the 3 of them to stay in the Qin family and become Qin Feng's 3 cousins. No matter how outstanding and smart the 3 of them were, they still encountered Qin Feng, who was even more heaven-defying and monstrous. In front of Qin Feng's halo, the 3 of them became dim. Their plans failed again and again, but they also witnessed Qin Feng's powerful rise again and again. This was a joke that fate was playing on them. In front of fate, the 3 of them had no way of resisting. "Qin Wudao, why are you only here now?" Qin Shitian was obviously startled by Qin Wudao's sudden appearance, and he was stunned for quite a while before recovering from his shock. Qin Mu, who was standing in the audience stands, had his eyes light up. Seeing his son rushing back at the crucial moment, he was very excited. "Grandpa, I was held up by something. But it's not too late now. Qin Xiao has been defeated by Qin Feng, so let me fight Qin Feng for the last time." When Qin Wudao spoke, he didn't look at Qin Shitian. He seemed to be somewhat dissatisfied with this grandfather of his. After a moment of silence, Qin Shitian said, "Since Qin Wudao is back, let's continue the competition." Originally, Qin Feng was going to take first place in the martial gathering, but because of Qin Wudao's sudden appearance, the rhythm was broken. Qin Feng and Qin Wudao seemed to be unable to hear the various discussions in the audience stands. They glared at each other. They were originally a pair of cousins, but their eyes were exceptionally red than enemies. After Qin Feng learned the identity of the man covered in black, many things became clear to him. Qin Wudao wanted to avenge his younger brother, Qin Yi, and he thought that Qin Yi was killed by Qin Feng. Qin Feng didn't explain these things, because he felt that there was no need to, because this battle must be fought. "Qin Feng, your change has exceeded my expectations. Even so, I will still kill you and use your blood as a sacrifice to my younger brother's soul in heaven." Qin Wudao's aura had already started to change. "It's good to have this kind of confidence, but you still don't have that kind of strength." Qin Feng's voice was calm as he sensed Qin Wudao's aura. Qin Wudao was also a stage 8 inner chi expert, but his aura was slightly stronger than Qin Zhao's. Qin Feng's words seemed to have angered Qin Wudao. He roared and swung his hand. Bang! 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 2 wind-piercing sounds rang out, and 2 cold lights flashed. A pair of sabers with an azure dragon and a phoenix engraved on it flew towards Qin Feng. This wasn't Qin Feng's first time fighting with Qin Wudao. He was already familiar with the bright moon dragon phoenix slash. He waved his hand, and several white lights shot out. The wind blades collided with the sabers, causing the sabers to deviate from their original trajectory. Rumble! The bright moon dragon phoenix slash smashed onto the ground, and 2 loud noises rang out. Qin Wudao never thought of using the sabers to attack Qin Feng. It was just a feint. Qin Wudao leaped onto Qin Feng's head, and a playful smile flashed across his eyes. He swung his giant palm, and a ball of intense flame surged towards Qin Feng. Whoosh! The audience cried out in surprise. No one expected Qin Wudao to be a fire elemental demonic cultivator. Qin Wudao's coordination was flawless. First, he distracted Qin Feng, then he launched a fatal attack. Qin Duo Air and Qin Huang screamed in fright when they saw that the blazing flames were about to ignite Qin Feng. Big brother Qin Feng, watch out! Feng run! Qin Shitian also stood up abruptly. Unknowingly, he smashed the other side of the stone bench into pieces. At this moment of crisis, the hearts of the Qin family members leaped to their throats. Some of them even imagined the cruel scene of Qin Feng being burnt to a crisp. Rumble! The flame had already engulfed Qin Feng and reached a height of 3 meters. Qin Feng was instantly engulfed in flames. No one could see his figure or appearance in the flames. Qin Duo was already crying her heart out. Qin Huang sat down on the stairs, his mind blank. Screams of shock rose from all directions. The Qin family members were dumbfounded when they saw the flame engulfing Qin Feng. A stage 9 energy expert was burned to death just like that? Haha, you've been eliminated so quickly? Qin Feng, you've really disappointed me. Qin Wudao laughed hysterically. His eyes shone with excitement. Are you disappointed? Then I'll make you feel despair. Qin Feng's ice-cold voice suddenly came from the flames. The smile on Qin Wudao's face froze. His body trembled violently. Before he could regain his senses, an even more intense flame flew towards him. The flames on Qin Feng's body had already dissipated. A layer of solid deep blue ice appeared around him. The extreme cold was dazzling under the sunlight. The extreme cold caused the surrounding temperature to plummet. Rumble! The destructive flame had already smashed into Qin Wudao and instantly exploded 4 to 5 meters high. Originally, it was Qin Feng who was engulfed in flames. Now it was Qin Wudao who was drowned in a sea of flames. The ups and downs completely exceeded the speed at which everyone could accept it. What just happened? Qin Feng and Qin Wudao are both fire elemental demon cultivators. These two kids are really heaven-defying. Wait, look at the ice on Qin Feng's body. He's a fire elemental and ice elemental demon cultivator. The capital's Qin manor is going to change. The entire Chinese martial world is going to change. In the midst of the destructive flame, Qin Wudao's body was also covered with a layer of ice. However, his flames and ice were not as powerful as Qin Feng's. Under the burning of the destructive flame, the ice quickly melted layer by layer. Then, new ice appeared and continued to resist the power of the destructive flame. Qin Wudao's eyes were filled with shock. He didn't expect Qin Feng to be a dual elemental demon cultivator. You're a dual elemental demon cultivator? Qin Feng also looked at Qin Wudao in shock. But soon Qin Feng discovered something fishy. The ice on Qin Wudao's body did not fluctuate with demonic energy. The flames he released earlier also did not contain demonic energy. Qin Wudao's flames and ice brought about a strange energy fluctuation. This fluctuation was not unfamiliar to Qin Feng. It was brought about by ability users. You have both ice and fire abilities. It seems that you've become the William family's test subject. Qin Feng looked at Qin Wudao again. The destructive flame was the myriad beast true fire. It couldn't dissipate at all. Qin Wudao's face turned deathly pale. He already looked like he was struggling. The ability of an adept was not limitless. It required a huge amount of mental power to support it. Qin Wudao had clearly reached his limit and was about to collapse at any time. The atmosphere had long fallen into a deathly silence. Only the whistling sound of the flames in the wind could be heard. Feng, stop. Qin Huang came to his senses and hurriedly stopped Qin Feng. Qin Feng looked at his father with a blank expression. Qin Huang continued to shout. Feng, we're family after all. Don't kill each other. Qin Huang looked a little tired. He didn't continue speaking. Everything still depended on Qin Feng's decision. Qin Shitian stood on the high platform. His eyes were solemn, and his expression was cold. He looked at the blazing flames and said, Qin Feng, stop. You're first in this tournament. Rumble. Qin Feng raised his hand. The destructive flame suddenly rose into the sky and instantly disappeared above Qin Wudao's head. This scene stunned everyone once again. The flame Qin Feng released was too mysterious. It didn't seem like the flame of demonic qi. Although demonic cultivators could transform demonic qi into flames, they couldn't control the flames a second time. But Qin Feng's flames seemed to have intelligence, and could be controlled by Qin Feng multiple times. The level of the myriad beast true fire was too high. Many people in the Qin family had never heard of this flame. Those who knew about this flame didn't dare to think too much about it, because this kind of fire with intelligence seemed to be a legend. After the flames disappeared, Qin Wudao sat on the ground and began to gasp for breath. He was covered in cold sweat. He was completely shocked by Qin Feng's strength. In order to kill Qin Feng and avenge his brother Qin Yi, Qin Wudao didn't hesitate to ally with the William family and voluntarily became a test subject. In the end, he successfully obtained the attributes of ice and fire. Originally, he thought he could kill Qin Feng with his stage 8 inner qi and dual attribute elemental ability. But when he faced Qin Feng, Qin Wudao found that he couldn't even withstand 10 moves. Chapter 847. Seeing Qin Feng stop, everyone from the Qin family heaved a long sigh of relief in their hearts. After all, everyone was related by blood. Even if they gossiped and fought openly and covertly, they wouldn't go so far as to see their own family members beaten to death. Qin Feng and Qin Wudao's match ended with Qin Feng's victory. In this year's clan martial meet, Qin Feng bravely took first place. Next, we will proceed to the strength competition. Qin Shitian's deep and powerful voice spread out. Everyone from the Qin family had different expressions. Qin Wudao was still sitting on the ground with a dazed expression, as if his soul had been extracted. Qin Xiao crawled out of the pit. He had eaten a lot of healing medicinal pills earlier, so he had no problem with basic walking activities. The martial meet drew the curtains, and immediately after, the strength competition began. Qin Feng, Qin Xiao, and Qin Wudao were all on the martial stage. However, before the strength competition began, Qin Wudao suddenly ran away. His figure was like a swallow, disappearing in a few breaths. Following that, Qin Wudao's cold voice came from midair. Qin Feng, remember this well. I will find you again. Qin Wudao came suddenly, and left even more abruptly. Even now, the Qin family still hadn't regained their senses. Qin Shitian looked at the completely disappearing shadow in the distance, and a trace of helplessness flashed in the depths of his old eyes. Very quickly, he regained his calm. He looked at Qin Feng and Qin Xiao on the martial stage and said, "Are you guys ready for the strength competition?" "Yes." Qin Feng and Qin Xiao answered at the same time. Qin Shitian nodded. Then I announced that the second round of the Qin family martial meet, the strength competition, begins now. In the previous round, Qin Xiao lost. In this round, Qin Xiao will be the first to display his power. The capital's several large families' martial meet format was basically the same. It was mainly divided into martial strength competition and power competition. These two were also the two most important things to a martial artist. Qin Xiao suffered a crushing defeat in the previous round. Now his face was bruised and swollen, and his entire body was covered in wounds. He looked very miserable. However, the corner of Qin Zhao's eyes flashed with a hint of a crafty smile. He didn't look like he had failed at all. For the sake of this clan martial meet, Qin Xiao had already secretly cooperated with many of China's major powers. In this strength competition, Qin Xiao was determined to win. Qin Xiao playfully stared at Qin Feng. He held his head high and took a step forward. He faced the Qin family on the stage and said in a deep voice, "Elders of the Qin family, this time, I invited a few representatives of China's major powers. Now, I will invite them onto the stage. The first is Sima Xiang, the representative of the younger generation from the Sima family. The second is Uncle Li, a grade 4 apothecary from Sacred Medicine Hall. There's also the leader of Dragon Sect's Heaven Group, Senior Flying Bird, and Master Yuan Hai from Shaolin Temple, one of the 5 sects in the outer world of martial artists. Qin Xiao invited a few. Qin Zhao's of the major powers. He had invited some people from China's 3 sects and 5 sects. He had also invited people from the sacred medicine hall and the blacksmith shop, who were the most important to martial artists. Before long, there were more than 10 people standing on the martial arts field. These people stood together, forming a strong lineup. Just looking at them, the Qin family members were a little flustered. After Qin Xiao invited all the powers, the playful expression on his face became more and more intense. He admitted that he couldn't beat Qin Feng in a one-on-one fight. However, when it came to comparing forces, Qin Xiao believed that he could scare Qin Feng to death. Qin Huang was also frightened by the forces Qin Xiao invited. He was worried about Qin Feng. Sitting on the high stage, Qin Shitian's eyes were filled with anxiety. Qin Zhao's forces had already gone on the stage, but Qin Shitian was still in a daze. He didn't make any further progress. "Grandpa, I've shown all my forces. It's time for Qin Feng to show his." After waiting for a while, Qin Xiao became impatient and urged his grandpa. Qin Shitian came back to his senses. He looked at Qin Feng with a complicated expression. "Qin Feng, it's your turn." Everyone's gazes fell on Qin Feng at the same time. Sighs resounded. In terms of individual strength, the Qin family was absolutely optimistic about Qin Feng. However, in this strength competition, no one was optimistic about him. Qin Huang brought Qin Feng to Acropolis City to develop since he was young. Acropolis City was just a small third-tier city. The forces of that place were not worth mentioning in the capital. Qin Xiao grew up in the Qin manor in the capital. Moreover, Qin Zhao's father, Qin Zheng, had always been helping Qin Shitian manage the Qin family. Qin Xiao could casually use the name of the Qin manor to easily establish a relationship with other big families and forces in the capital. Qin Feng lost to Qin Xiao by a large margin at the starting line. How could he compete with Qin Zhao's forces? Haha. Qin Feng, if you can't call people, then just admit defeat. Don't call those Tom, Dick and Harry of Acropolis City to support you. We're competing in power, not who can call more people. Before Qin Feng could open his mouth, Qin Xiao started to make cutting remarks about Qin Feng. In the last round, Qin Xiao was beaten miserably, and his face was completely destroyed by Qin Feng. This was a rare opportunity. Of course, Qin Xiao wanted to get back the face he lost. Qin Feng ignored Qin Zhao's mockery. He stood with his hands behind his back, looked at Qin Xiao indifferently and said, "To tell you the truth, I really didn't take the initiative to call people over today." "Haha, I knew you couldn't call people over. Then hurry up and admit defeat. Don't waste everyone's time. In this society, people are competing in connections. So what if you're strong? Can you fight against all the forces around me alone?" Qin Xiao was so excited that he couldn't stop laughing. It was as if he had already been elected as the young master of the Qin family. However, what Qin Xiao said wasn't wrong. Nowadays, people were competing in connections. The era of fighting alone was over. No matter how strong Qin Feng was, could he fight against China's 3 sects and 5 sects alone? Could he sweep through all the forces of the outer martial arts world alone? Maybe Qin Feng could reach that stage in the future, but he obviously couldn't right now. Therefore, the 2 rounds of the Qin family's martial arts gathering were mainly based on the results of the strength competition. If Qin Feng lost this round, he would lose the position of the young master. "What are you so happy about? Although I didn't call people over, you called people over for me. Isn't that the same thing?" Qin Feng looked at Qin Xiao coldly, as if he was looking at a clown. The smile on Qin Zhao's face suddenly froze. Seeing Qin Feng's calm expression, Qin Xiao had a bad premonition. "What nonsense are you talking about? When did I call people over for you? Do you think I'm stupid?" Qin Xiao felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he thought. Qin Feng's gaze swept across the group of people that Qin Xiao called over. He said calmly, "See, Ma Xiang, how dare you not greet your big brother when you see him? Are you Uncle Li, the 4th-grade alchemist from St. Medic Hall? I think you also went to the Elixir Conference in Hepping Town. Dragon Gate's Sky Group Flying Bird? Ha! At the Green Dragon Celebration Banquet a few nights ago, you even tried to flatter me. As for the Shaolin Temple, I have some grudges with you. When I'm free, I'll meet you as Green Wolf." Qin Feng greeted the representatives of the forces that Qin Xiao called over. After greeting them, everyone was dumbfounded. You. What nonsense are you talking about? Are you fucking crazy? Qin Xiao glared at Qin Feng angrily. However, when he saw Qin Feng's confident look, he became more and more uncertain. Sima Xiang and his group were still in a daze. The Qin family members on the spectator stand were in an uproar again. What did Qin Feng mean just now? Don't tell me he knew that he was going to lose, and became so anxious that he lost his mind? Qin Feng seems to know those people that Qin Xiao called over, and he doesn't care about them at all. Those are the most representative sects and forces in China. I don't think it's possible. The Qin family members couldn't understand Qin Feng at all. Even Qin Huang couldn't understand his own son at this moment. The entire martial arts field fell into silence. Sima Xiang and his group regained their senses one after another, but none of them dared to speak. Qin Feng's words were very targeted. Others might not understand, but they knew very well what he meant. They could roughly guess Qin Feng's identity. However, Qin Feng's appearance and identity didn't match up at all. Everyone was very confused. You. Who are you? How did you know that I participated in the Elixir conference not long ago? After a while, Uncle Li of Saint Medic couldn't stand it anymore. He lowered his stance and asked Qin Feng. Before participating in the Qin family martial meet, when Qin Feng had become China's Azure Dragon, he had thought about recovering all of his identities at the Qin family martial meet. In the past, Qin Feng wasn't strong enough, so he needed to endure. Now, he didn't need to hide anymore. Of course I know that you participated in the Elixir conference, because I represented Saint Medic as Qiao Feng. The daughter of your Saint Medic was my servant at that time. Qin Feng's voice was calm. As he spoke, his face changed into Qiao Feng's appearance. Qin Feng's face-changing trick startled everyone, and they all sucked in a breath of cold air. When everyone regained their senses, they were even more shocked. Qin Feng was Qiao Feng? This news was too shocking. Senior Qiao Feng? You're really Senior Qiao Feng? Uncle Li was so excited that he didn't know what to do. Uncle Li looked like he was in his 60s, but he didn't dare to put on airs in front of Qin Feng. He even called Qin Feng Senior, because Qin Feng's alchemy skills were much higher than Uncle Li's. Sima Xiang and Fei Niao's expressions were also very rich. When they found out that Qin Feng was Qiao Feng, they just wanted to run away. However, they didn't even have the courage to run away. The cold and arrogant expressions on their faces were long gone. They squeezed out a flattering smile and thought about how to salvage the situation. Chapter 848. Big Brother Qiao, it's you. You didn't look right just now, so I didn't recognize you. Please don't blame me, Big Brother Qiao. Sima Xiang regained his senses and hurried to flatter Qin Feng with a smile on his face. Sima Xiang was extremely unwilling to be Qiao Feng's follower. However, ever since Qiao Feng was conferred the title of China's Green Dragon, Sima Xiang had no choice but to keep it in his heart. Just as Sima Xiang finished speaking, Flying Bird also greeted him with a smile. Senior Qiao, Senior Azure Dragon, I didn't expect you to be the eldest grandson of the Qin family. Please forgive me for not recognizing Senior Azure Dragon earlier. Sima Xiang and the others echoed each other, and their attitude towards Qin Feng changed 180 degrees. This change was too sudden, and Qin Xiao was caught unprepared. Qin Xiao was still in a daze, and his mind was in a mess. Naturally, Qin Xiao had heard of Qiao Feng's name a long time ago. When Qin Feng brought Lu Jia to cause trouble in the Soaring Cloud Mansion for the first time, Qin Xiao was also present. However, Qin Xiao would never have guessed that Qiao Feng was Qin Feng even if he was beaten to death. The members of the Qin family on the spectator stands were even more shocked. Qin Feng is Qiao Feng? Qiao Feng is China's Green Dragon? Each piece of news was too explosive. A few old people with weak hearts almost fainted. Qin Duo was dumbfounded. Her shocked expression was very cute. As Qin Feng's father, Qin Huang had no idea what his son had gone through during this period of time. They didn't even put the representatives of China in their eyes. Sima Xiang, what are you doing? We are partners. How can you go to Qin and Qiao Feng's side? Also, Uncle Li, Senior Flying Bird. You have to help me win the position of the junior patriarch, so that we can continue our cooperation. Qin Xiao was no longer as calm as before. The mocking expression on his face had disappeared. He was so scared that he didn't even know whether to call Qin Feng or Qiao Feng. Qin Xiao realized that he was going to lose this competition again, but he couldn't accept this fact. In order to suppress the development of his cousins, Qin Xiao had been secretly monitoring the development of Qin Feng, Qin Yi, and Qin Wudao. Qin Xiao thought that Qin Feng was dead, but he didn't expect Qin Feng to start anew with a new identity. This brother Tang from Acropolis City had only been in the provincial capital for a little more than 3 months, and he had already become China's green dragon. This speed of growth was too frightening. Even Qin Xiao admired and was surprised, but he didn't want to admit it on the surface. Qin Xiao, I'm sorry. I'm not here to help you today. I'm here to help Senior Qiao Feng. Uncle Li of Saint Medic has already stood on Qin Feng's side. After knowing Qin Feng's identity, Uncle Li would never help Qin Xiao again. This was because Saint Medic was recently discussing cooperation with Qiao Feng's Su Qin Pharmaceutical. Uncle Li did not dare to offend Qiao Feng at this critical juncture. Sima Xiang and Flying Bird stood with Qin Feng's team without hesitation. Qiao Feng was now the Azure Dragon of China. Who would dare to offend Qiao Feng? More and more people came to Qin Feng's side. Some greeted Qin Xiao, while others didn't dare to talk to Qin Xiao. They were afraid that they would make Qin Feng unhappy. In less than 3 minutes, the situation was completely reversed. The invincible Qin Xiao was now a commander without an army. The changes happened too quickly and violently. It took the Qin family a long time to recover from their shock. Why did they all go to Qin Feng's side? This Qin Feng is simply going against the heavens. Who the hell is Qiao Feng? Did someone just say that Qiao Feng is China's green dragon? Is it true? China's green dragon. Our Qin Manor actually has a China's green dragon. Today's Qin family martial arts gathering was filled with discussions. From time to time, there would be exclamations. Qin Shitian, who was standing on the highest platform, was stunned. He was China's red dragon 20 years ago, but he voluntarily withdrew from the ranks of the 9 dragons. Now, 20 years had passed, and China's 9 dragons had never appeared in the Qin Manor. But today, on the day of the Qin family's martial arts gathering, another member of the Qin family stepped into the ranks of China's 9 dragons. He was Qin Feng, who was regarded as trash by the Qin family since he was young. This news made Qin Shitian's heart unable to calm down for a long time. Seeing that the result of the martial arts competition had been decided, and Qin Feng deserved to be the champion, Qin Feng's appearance changed again. He turned into a ferocious wolf head. Without the sacred azure battle armor, Qin Feng's wolf head mask and red cloak were purchased from the system at the last minute. After the appearance of Green Wolf, the crowd went into an uproar again. Green Wolf? That's the famous senior Green Wolf in the outer martial arts world. This Qin Feng is the 100 transformations warrior? How did he change his appearance all of a sudden? And every identity is frighteningly powerful. Last time at Devil Beast Mountain, Green Wolf killed Qin Feng with 1 punch, and was listed as a Stage 9 Inner Chi expert by the outer martial arts world. But Qin Feng is Green Wolf. How did he kill himself? As Qin Feng's 3 identities were revealed, everyone's doubts became heavier and heavier. There were too many topics of discussion. Some discussed the battle between Qiao Feng and Purple Dragon Su Xiaotian, and some questioned how Green Wolf killed Qin Feng. Qin Feng had a total of 3 identities. No matter which identity it was, it had become a legend. In the future, the Qin family and Saint Medic can cooperate deeply. Senior Azure Dragon, since you've successfully won the position of young patriarch, Fei Niao still has important matters to attend to. I'll take my leave first. Big brother Qiao, I'll also go back. If the Qin family needs anything in the future, just let us know. When Sima Xiang saw Qin Feng, he remembered that Qin Feng killed Sima too, and annihilated the entire Sima family in Acropolis City. Originally, Sima Xiang was waiting for the Qin family to finish off Qin Feng with Qin Xiao. But now that he knew Qin Feng's true identity, Those terrifying thoughts disappeared instantly. Even if you beat him to death, Sima Xiang wouldn't dare to offend Qin Feng anymore. After Qin Feng left, the representatives that Qin Xiao summoned left one by one. When they left, none of them spoke to Qin Xiao. They didn't even dare to look at Qin Xiao. Some people were happy, while others were sad. Qin Feng became the center of attention and became the supreme young patriarch of the Qin family, while Qin Xiao sat on the ground with no one paying attention to him. Qin Zhao's heart was extremely unbalanced. All this glory should have belonged to him. Half a year ago, he started all kinds of schemes and plots, but in the end he still failed. I can't accept this. Why is it Qin Feng? Why did you decide on Qin Feng from the beginning? Grandpa, you're unfair. You're promoting Qin Feng on purpose. Qin Xiao suddenly roared, scaring many people into taking a few steps away from him. At this time, Qin Shitian and Qin Huang had already walked to the training field. Qin Huang looked at Qin Xiao with some doubt, and a trace of helplessness flashed in Qin Shitian's old eyes. Qin Feng also looked at Qin Xiao, and he was confused by Qin Zhao's words. Qin Feng didn't know what Qin Xiao meant by this. What did Grandpa decide on? Why would Grandpa promote him? Qin Feng was actually prejudiced against Qin Shitian. He blamed Grandpa for driving Qin Huang out of the Qin manor when he was young. He blamed Grandpa for being indifferent when he knew Qin Xiao, and Qin Yi plotted against him. Qin Feng always felt that he was abandoned by the Qin family. He would never believe that Grandpa would promote him. Chapter 849. Qin Feng was still puzzled, but Qin Zhao's shouts became crazier and crazier. Qin Xiao seemed to have fallen into a state of madness again. He cried and laughed like a fool. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Qin Feng was decided from the beginning, and the result was still Qin Feng. Even if I beat Qin Feng in both the martial arts competition and the power competition, I believe you will still let Qin Feng be the young patriarch. We four brothers are the direct descendants of the Qin family. Why should it be Qin Feng? Just because he's older than us? This dark rule is simply ridiculous. Qin Xiao, shut up. Qin Shitian suddenly became angry and yelled at Qin Xiao. Qin Zheng quickly covered his son's mouth and said to Qin Shitian, Dad, don't be angry. I'll take shower back now. Qin Xiao was taken away, but he was still struggling and yelling along the way. It was as if he wanted to release all the grievances he had held back for more than 10 years. Qin Feng watched Qin Xiao being dragged away, and the doubt in his heart grew stronger. Qin Zhao's words had a hidden meaning, but Qin Feng couldn't figure it out. The family martial arts competition was over, and Qin Feng became the new young patriarch of the Qin family. After Qin Xiao left, the atmosphere returned to its usual fervor. The Qin family members gathered around to congratulate Qin Feng. Because of Qin Feng's 3 identities, the Qin family members felt pressured in front of Qin Feng. This was the first time many of them saw the 9 dragons of China. Qin Feng didn't put on airs. Whenever someone congratulated him, he would smile and express his gratitude. Qin Feng, Qin Huang. Come with me. I have something to tell you. Qin Shitian stood at the side for a while. Seeing that everyone was almost done chatting, he called Qin Feng away. The Qin family members tactfully dispersed. Qin Feng and Qin Huang followed Qin Shitian to the main residence. Qin Duo also followed the 3 of them. Duo, go play by yourself. Qin Shitian said to Qin Duo at the entrance of the main residence. Qin Duo pouted and began to act coquettishly. Grandpa, if there's anything, take me with you. Qin Shitian had always doted on Qin Duo, but this time, he reprimanded her with a straight face. What are you doing, a girl? Go back to the house. Qin Duo was shocked. She lowered her head and ran away. Qin Shitian sighed, and his gaze fell on Qin Feng again. Let's go inside and talk. Qin Feng and Qin Huang followed Qin Shitian into the study room of the main house. Qin Huang didn't say anything, as if he knew the purpose of their visit. Qin Feng felt a bit uneasy. He had roughly guessed the purpose of his grandpa calling him here. Was it because he wanted to talk about his mother's background? Grandfather, why did you call me over? Qin Feng couldn't wait any longer. As soon as he entered the room, he looked at his grandfather anxiously. Qin Shitian waved his hand and said, "Sit down first, we'll talk slowly." Qin Shitian and Qin Huang had already sat down. Qin Fen sat next to his father. After sitting down, Qin Fen poured a cup of tea for his father and grandfather. Qin Shitian nodded satisfactorily and took a sip of the tea. Sigh. It's been 20 years, and I can finally drink the tea Qin Feng poured for me. Qin Shitian put the teacup on the table with a face full of vicissitudes. Qin Huang also shook his head with an indescribable helpless expression. Qin Fen was confused by the two and continued to ask, "Grandfather, did you call me here to talk about my mother's background?" As soon as Qin Fen's voice fell, Qin Huang and Qin Shitian's bodies trembled. After a moment, Qin Huang sighed and said, "Dad, it's time to tell Fenger. His change is beyond our expectations. Maybe this is the will of heaven." Qin Shitian also heaved a long sigh and nodded. "That's right. I called you here to tell you something." Qin Fen suddenly sat up straight and looked at Qin Shitian with an expectant expression. Qin Shitian's expression gradually became confused, as if he was recalling something from a long time ago. "Qin Fen, your mother's name is Qingying, and her nickname is Susu. She's a disciple of the Thousand Shadows sect." Qin Shitian had already started to talk about Qin Fen's mother, and Qin Fen listened very attentively. 20 years ago, when you were just born, a great calamity occurred in the martial arts world. Your mother, Qingying, had a peerless treasure on her, and this news was spread by an unknown person. For a time, everyone in the martial arts world came to capture your mother. For this matter, I resigned from my position in the Crimson Dragon of China and led the Qin clan of the capital to protect your mother. However, there were too many people from the martial arts world, and they were too powerful. The Qin clan of the capital was no match for them. At that time, you had just been born, and your body was weak and sickly. Your mother was worried about your safety, so she left with Qin Huang at night without telling me. For your safety, for the safety of the Qin clan, she left the protection of the Qin clan of her own accord, and went into hiding. After your mother left, there was no news of her. No one knew whether she was dead or alive. Since you were young, I found out that you couldn't cultivate, and your body was unusually weak. I used all kinds of methods and found all kinds of medicinal pills to cleanse your marrow and reshape your bones. But in the end, it was useless. In the end, I reluctantly gave up my treasure and chased Qin Huang away. Qin Huang took you to Acropolis City, and I prepared to let you grow up in an oppressive and dangerous environment. At that time, I didn't know if what I did was right, but now it seems that it was. Just now, Qin Xiao suddenly went crazy and yelled that I was unfair. Do you know why? As the most dignified person in the Qin family, how could his grandfather make such a decision? Qin Huang was dumbfounded. He knew some things, but he didn't know the words Qin Shitian said to Qin Xiao and the others. Qin Huang also looked at Qin Shitian. He didn't expect that in order to train Qin Fen, his father would be so ruthless. Qin Shitian's rage was clearly within Qin Shitian's expectations. Qin Shitian's expression was calm. No one could tell whether he was happy or angry. He looked at Qin Fen with a resolute gaze. "Because the enemy you're about to face is too strong, I have no choice but to do this." It could be seen that even if this grand scheme led to Qin Ye's death, Qin Shitian didn't feel any regret, because Qin Fen had become stronger than he had imagined. Who is the enemy I'm about to face? And where is my mother now? Qin Fen's mind was a mess because of his anger. Right now, Qin Fen had a belly full of anger that he wanted to vent. He just wanted to find his mother, and then find out the people who hunted after his mother, and kill them one by one. After your mother left, no one knew where she went. Your father, Qin Huang, and I didn't know either. However, the martial arts world was in chaos 20 years ago, and the secular world wasn't at peace. In the end, the dragon sect showed up and sent the divine dragon to suppress the martial artists outside. Finally, the chaos was quelled, and the divine dragon took care of the subsequent matters. He should know where your mother is. Qin Fen learned about the 9 dragons of China during the dragon-conferred position not long ago. It was also at that time that Qin Fen heard the name of the divine dragon for the first time. China didn't have 9 dragons, but 8 dragons and 1 phoenix. But above the 9 dragons, there was the divine dragon. According to Blue Dragon Jiye's original words to Qin Feng, the divine dragon, as his name suggests, is elusive. He is the most mysterious martial artist in China. He stood on top of the 9 dragons 20 years ago, and no one knows his true strength. Qin Feng didn't expect to hear the divine dragon's name again so soon. Moreover, the divine dragon was related to the chaos his mother caused in the martial arts world. Qin Feng suddenly clenched his fists, and his eyes glinted with determination. Chapter 850. Where is the divine dragon? Qin Feng suddenly looked at Qin Shitian with a resolute expression. Qin Shitian and Qin Huang both stood up. Qin Huang looked worried. He was afraid that this day would come. But he was also looking forward to seeing Qin Feng search for his mother, because this was Qin Feng's mission. Qin Shitian's old eyes flickered, and his solemn expression suddenly relaxed. He had set up a trap for 20 years, and today it finally came to an end. This was an indescribable sense of relief. Well done. You are indeed a child of the Qin family. Grandpa didn't misjudge you. Qin Shitian applauded repeatedly. Seeing Qin Feng's change and determination, Qin Shitian was somewhat comforted. Where is the divine dragon? Qin Feng asked again with a cold expression. There is a mountain in the easternmost part of the capital. It is the place where the first ray of sunlight shines when the sun rises. There is a temple on the mountain called the Divine Dragon Temple. The Divine Dragon is there. Qin Shitian said. Qin Feng turned around and was about to leave when Qin Huang pulled him back. Feng, don't be impulsive. Dad, I want to find my mother. Qin Feng's tone was unquestionable. Qin Feng, the divine dragon doesn't see people. You can't find him even if you go. Qin Shitian continued. Qin Feng stood at the door of the study and looked at Qin Shitian. Then how can I see him? You need to challenge him. As long as it is a challenger, the divine dragon will accept it. Okay, I'll challenge the divine dragon now. Qin Feng shook off his father's arm and started to walk out. Qin Huang was anxious to chase after him, but Qin Shitian was much calmer. His old voice floated out. With your current strength, you are far from being a match for the divine dragon. Even if you want to challenge him, you need to be fully prepared first. Otherwise you will die in vain. At that time, who will find your mother's whereabouts? Qin Feng was already outside the old house, but he could hear his grandfather's voice. Qin Feng calmed down a little. His figure flickered, and after a moment he stood in the study again. Grandpa, do you know the realm of the divine dragon? Qin Feng had just learned about his mother's identity. For a moment, he was overwhelmed by anger and joy. Now he had calmed down. Now that he had calmed down, this battle was more dangerous than the battle with the purple dragon. I don't know. Qin Shitian sighed and continued. 20 years ago, after your mother disappeared, when the divine dragon quelled the chaos in the martial arts world, I went to the divine dragon palace to challenge him. Tian what? Feng asked urgently. I lost within 10 moves. Qin Shitian said truthfully. What realm was Grandpa in then? At that time, I had just resigned from the position of Wuxia's Crimson Dragon. What realm do you think I was at? Qin Feng's Tian was as if his mind was struck by lightning. Now that Qin Feng had become the Azure Dragon, one of the 9 dragons of China, he knew how powerful the 9 dragons of China were. Each of them was a stage 9 energy expert. Feng Tian 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 Tian. And was Tian 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 was, the Tian had was, and had was Fun. Qin and Fun. Did that divine dragon really step into the true Qi stage? Just now, Qin Feng was excited to challenge the mystical dragon. But now, he was a little uncertain. However, even if Qin Feng died in battle, he would not give up on searching for his mother. He only felt an unprecedented pressure. This divine dragon was the strongest opponent Qin Feng had encountered since he became a martial artist. What's wrong? Are you afraid? Qin Shitian suddenly asked after Qin Feng froze for a moment. When Qin Feng regained his composure, he met his grandfather's questioning gaze and said in a sonorous voice, I'll go get ready and then I'll challenge the dragon god. Qin Feng had just become the young master of the Qin family. He hadn't even stayed in Qin Manor for a day. And now he was busy searching for his mother. Qin Fen had already left, and only the Qin Emperor and Qin Shitian were left in the study room. The Qin Emperor had a worried expression on his face, and he kept sighing. Son, pull yourself together. We have to believe in Qin Feng. At least he's the Azure Dragon of Wuxia now. Even if he fails to challenge the dragon god won't kill Qin Feng. Qin Shitian said some comforting words, and the emotion of the Qin Emperor gradually calmed down. Dad, why didn't you tell him about Qin Feng's past? It's not time yet. Qin Shitian let out a long sigh. Ai. One dragon god is enough for Qin Feng. As for his father's identity, let's put it off for now. Don't give Qin Feng too much pressure, or else this child will collapse. Let's wait for him to challenge the dragon god first, and then we'll see the results. That's all we can do for now. Qin Emperor shook his head and sighed. The capital's Qin family was only one of the 5 small families in the capital. In the eyes of the many forces in the capital, and even in Wuxia, it was an existence that couldn't be ranked at the top. However, the clan martial meet of the capital's Qin Manor not long ago shocked all the martial artists in the secular world, and the martial artists outside of Wuxia. Now all the martial artists gathered together to talk about Qin Feng, Xiao Feng, and the Azure Wolf. At this point, everyone finally understood that these 3 identities were all Qin Feng. In Acropolis City, Qin Feng's women were stunned. Many women knew about Qin Feng's 3 identities, but they didn't expect that Qin Feng would suddenly take the position of the young master of the capital's Qin Manor and publicly announce his 3 identities. All the big and small families in the 4 cities of Yin province were shocked. After they learned the truth, they felt a lingering fear in their hearts. They didn't dare to provoke the Qin Manor in Acropolis City anymore. Even more people in the capital were shocked when they heard the news. The students of the capital university's medical college were excited. So Qin Feng was Xiao Feng. No wonder both of their teachers were lecherous and shameless. Rao Sherman was stunned. So Qin Feng was not dead. He was Xiao Feng. She recalled the time she spent with Xiao Feng during the concert at the capital university, and a sweet feeling welled up in her heart. Zhang Kuku exclaimed in surprise when she saw Qin Feng's photo. So Uncle Xiao Feng's real appearance is so handsome. Dongfang Qingxue was also dumbfounded. She had planned to use Xiao Feng as a shield to chase away those rich young masters from the provincial capital. She also wanted to provoke that brat Qin Feng. In the end, Qin Feng was Xiao Feng. Dongfang Qingxue was depressed to death. Yin Tiankong was dumbfounded. He finally knew that Xiao Feng was Azure Wolf. After Xiao Shishir heard the news, she sat in the classroom and stared blankly at the blue sky outside the window for the whole day. Recently, she had been wondering whether she should get closer to Xiao Feng or not. Now all her worries were gone. Qin Feng was Xiao Feng. This was great. Li Shanshan was puzzled. She didn't know why Xiao Feng had so many identities. But Li Shanshan didn't mind. As long as Xiao Feng still had her in his heart, it was fine. Sissy Li Tao, who had cultivated the little chrysanthemum codex, was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. Big brother Qin Feng was big brother Green Wolf. No wonder the 2 of them were so domineering and full of manliness. Even Li Ye and Ao Shaowan, who were far away in Hong Kong, were shocked when they heard the news. Both of them knew about the relationship between Qin Feng and Xiao Feng, but they didn't know that Qin Feng had another relationship. Li Ye and Ao Shaowan began to wonder if Qin Feng had so many identities to pick up girls. Qin Feng had been away from Hong Kong for some time, and both of them missed him. All the major forces in the capital were shaken. It seemed like the capital was going to change. The big and small forces who were enemies with Qin Feng, Xiao Feng, and Azure Wolf started to pay a visit to the Qin mansion in the capital in an attempt to resolve their conflicts. The Sima family, the Lu family, the Yang family, the Dongfang family, the 5 small families in the capital, the powerful families like the Yun family but kept a low profile, and the families that couldn't be seen in public, the Saint Panacea, the blacksmith shop, the Dragon sect, the Hong sect. For a time, the capital was in turmoil. All the major forces and sects flocked to the Qin mansion in the capital. The Qin mansion was crowded with people every day. Qin Shitian and Qin Huang's hearts were filled with indescribable gratification and pride when they saw the Qin family had regained its prosperity 20 years ago. The capital had changed because of Qin Feng. At this moment, Qin Feng was alone in Yan Wushuang's room. Qin Feng's consciousness entered the system. He was ready to challenge the dragon god. Before that, Qin Feng had to go through all the missions in the system and complete all the missions that he could. Then, he would use the Hedonist points to become stronger. Only then would he have a chance of winning. Qin Feng first checked the mission, Martial Gathering Disturbance. Ding! Congratulations, host Qin Feng, for completing the main mission, Martial Gathering Disturbance. You have successfully become the young master of the Qin family. The system will reward host Qin 20,000 Hedonist points and a piece of high-tech battle equipment. Ding! Congratulations, host Qin Feng, for completing the first side mission, Martial Gathering Disturbance. You have successfully found the mastermind behind Su Ruoro, Qin Xiao, and defeated him. The system will reward host Qin 10,000 Hedonist points and a bottle of mutant gene potion. Host Qin Feng's total Hedonist points, 46,000. The system beep sounded in Qin Feng's mind. The chain mission Martial Gathering Disturbance had been completed. Qin Feng put the prize ticket and the mutant gene potion aside and started to check the other missions. There were still many unfinished missions. The mission to become the leader of the Martial Arts League. The mission to avenge Qiao Shi. The mission to destroy the William family's plan. The mission to help Hua Yan become a grade 6 alchemist. The Martial Arts Alliance chain mission. The mission of Beast Clan Disturbance. The mission to defeat China's green dragon Feng Qingyu. Qin Feng felt that he couldn't complete these missions for the time being. After learning about his mother's background, Qin Feng couldn't wait to challenge the dragon god. He didn't have that much time. Qin Feng picked a few missions that he could complete in a short period of time. For example, the chain mission of Founding Ancestor, and the mission to train Ren Xiaoyao to become a maid. After going through all the missions, Qin Feng had a clear direction. He left before Yan Wushuang and Li Shanshan came back. The main reason was that Qin Feng didn't want to face the feeling of parting. Qin Feng didn't tell anyone about his challenge to the dragon god. He was afraid that those who cared about him would be worried if they knew. Chapter 851. Not long ago, Qin Feng's winter iron glove and sacred azure battle armor were broken in the battle with Su Xiaotian on Broken Cliff Mountain. The sacred azure battle armor was Qin Feng's most powerful defensive battle armor. This time, Qin Feng was going to challenge the divine dragon, which was more powerful than the 9 dragons of China. Naturally, he needed another battle armor. This was why Qin Feng went to Ren Xiaoyao first to complete the mission. The mission reward was a piece of thundercloud stone and 5 kilograms of purple core iron. The purple core iron was the main material to forge a purple spiritual equipment, and the thundercloud stone had a chance to forge a lightning attribute spiritual equipment. These two materials were what Qin Feng needed urgently. He was going to forge a purple battle armor for himself. Io! Who dares to bump into this young lady's chest? Qin Feng lowered his head and walked toward St. Medic Hall. Just as he was planning his next step, his head bumped into something soft, followed by a familiar scream. Qin Feng didn't even need to lift his head to look. He began to suspect that Ren Xiaoyao had fallen for him and was purposely guarding his head. Xiao Feng. No, Qin Feng? Is that you? Ren Xiaoyao drew her sword and was ready to fight Qin Feng. Her delicate body trembled. Ever since Ren Xiaoyao found out that Xiao Feng was not only Qing Lang, but also Qin Feng, she had collected information on Qin Feng since he was young. Looking at Qin Feng's familiar, yet unfamiliar and handsome face, Ren Xiaoyao couldn't be sure. She had only seen Qin Feng's photo on the internet. This was the first time she saw Qin Feng in person. Xiaoyao, it's me. The appearance you see now is the real me. Qin Feng revealed a dignified expression. He was looking for Ren Xiaoyao to complete a mission, so he had already started training her. Oh no, it's really you? Hurry, come with me. After confirming Qin Feng's identity, Ren Xiaoyao pulled Qin Feng and ran outside with an anxious expression. Before she could take 2 steps, a middle-aged man in a white traditional Chinese suit walked out of St. Medic Hall. He sneered, "You little girl, why are you pulling a man's arm in a hurry? Hurry up and come back." Ren Xiaoyao stopped and looked at the middle-aged man with an awkward and nervous expression. "Hee, Dad, this is my friend. I'm going to talk to him about something." "Since you're a friend, then please enter the St. Medicine Hall as a guest. Where are you going to talk about this?" The man's voice was low, and it revealed an indisputable dignity. Ren Xiaoyao pouted and put on a cute expression. She suddenly glanced at Qin Feng, and her beautiful eyes revealed a hint of shyness. Even Qin Feng was confused by Ren Xiaoyao's behavior. He felt that this girl's behavior today was somewhat abnormal. When he found out that the middle-aged man standing at the entrance of the St. Medic Hall was Ren Xiaoyao's father, Qin Feng took the initiative to approach him. "Hello, uncle. I'm Qin Feng, a friend of little Demon Run." While Ren Xiaoyao was distracted, Qin Feng had already finished his self-introduction. Ren Xiaoyao was so shocked that she jumped up. She pulled Qin Feng and wanted to run again. Dad, I brought my friend out for a stroll. He didn't say anything just now. Please don't take it to heart." Ren Xiaoyao used all her strength to pull Qin Feng, but Qin Feng didn't budge at all. Ren Xiaoyao's father stood at the entrance dumbfounded. His eyes shone brightly as he stared at Qin Feng. He looked as if he had found a treasure. "Haha, so you're Qin Feng. Come in. I'm Ren Xiaoyao's father, Ren Tian. I've long heard of your famous name. I've been looking forward to your visit. Here, don't talk to father-in-law. Haha, don't stand on ceremony with me. Just treat this as your own home." After Ren Tian regained his senses, he was grinning from ear to ear. He pulled Qin Feng into the St. Medic Hall. Qin Feng was getting more and more confused by Ren Tian. He felt that the development of the situation was not quite right. Ren Xiaoyao slapped her forehead. She watched Qin Feng enter the house. Her pretty face was so red that it was about to drip water. Along the way, Ren Tian greeted Qin Feng warmly. The topics of conversation ranged from unimportant things to the collaboration with Su Qin Pharmaceuticals. Then, they talked about Qin Feng's identity as one of the 9 dragons of China. Finally, they talked about Qin Feng and Ren Xiaoyao's marriage. Qin Feng jumped in fright. He finally understood what was wrong. Ren Xiaoyao's family had taken a fancy to him. "Old man Run, which friend has come to visit us?" When Ren Tian and Qin Feng arrived at the entrance of the main residence, a rich and elegant young woman dressed in a purple cheongsam came to greet them. "Haha, old woman, this is Qin Feng. He's the Qin Feng who's been the talk of the town recently." Ren Tian shouted excitedly. The young woman was stunned. Then, she became excited as well. She looked at Qin Feng with the same expression as Ren Tian. It was as if she had seen a rich son-in-law. "Oh, so it's Qin Feng's son-in-law. Come in and have a seat. I'll tell the other relatives of the Ren family to come and see Xiaoyao's son-in-law." The young woman was Ren Xiaoyao's mother, Yuya. Yuya had already rushed away. Qin Feng was dumbfounded. He looked at Ren Tian and said, "Uncle Ren, are you mistaken? How did I become the son-in-law of the Ren family?" Ren Tian was still grinning from ear to ear. His smile suddenly became awkward. He scratched his head and said, "Haha, Qin Feng, did you hear wrongly? We didn't say you were the son-in-law of the Ren family. Could it be that you've taken a fancy to our Xiaoyao and want to be her son-in-law? That's easy. Uncle Ren admires you very much. As long as you say the word, I'll betroth Xiaoyao to you immediately." Ren Xiaoyao had just entered the house and saw the scene in front of her. She was so embarrassed that she wanted to dig a hole and hide. Qin Feng wanted to interrupt and say that he didn't have such thoughts. However, Ren Tian didn't give Qin Feng a chance to speak. He looked like he was going to marry Ren Xiaoyao to Qin Feng. In fact, ever since Qin Feng helped the St. Medic Hall win the championship, Xiao Feng's name had spread among the Ren family. At that time, the Ren family was more optimistic about Xiao Feng. When they found out that Xiao Feng was of the same age as Ren Xiaoyao and was unmarried, The Ren family intentionally or unintentionally mentioned Xiao Feng in front of Ren Xiaoyao. After Xiao Feng told Ren Xiaoyao about Su Qin Pharmaceutical, the Ren family was even more optimistic about Xiao Feng. Not long ago, when Qin Feng announced his identity at the family martial arts competition, the Ren family went crazy. Before, they hinted that Ren Xiaoyao was close to Xiao Feng. Now they were urging Ren Xiaoyao to date Qin Feng every day. Ren Xiaoyao was too embarrassed to look for Qin Feng. Although she had an ambiguous relationship with Qin Feng and had a good impression of him, they were just friends after all. They hadn't developed to the stage of being a couple. No one expected that Qin Feng would come uninvited today. This made Ren Tian extremely happy. It was also because Ren Xiaoyao was afraid of her family urging her to get married. Therefore, when she saw Qin Feng at the entrance of the St. Medic Hall, her first reaction was to pull Qin Feng away. While Qin Feng was still in shock over his son-in-law, a large group of people suddenly ran out of the courtyard. "Where's my grandson-in-law? Where's my precious grandson-in-law? That's Qin Feng, right? He's so handsome. He's a perfect match for our Xiaoyao. They're a match made in heaven." I heard that Qin Feng is a level 6 Golden Core Master and the Azure Dragon of China. He's also famous in the martial arts world. Why is he so young? I thought he was in his 50s or 60s. Qin Feng's son-in-law, I'm Xiaoyao's second mother. We all like you very much. Don't be too reserved. This will be your second home in the future. The Ren family was not too enthusiastic. They surrounded Qin Feng and introduced themselves. Qin Feng was originally a little dumbfounded. This time he was dumbfounded. He came to look for Ren Xiaoyao to try and complete the training mission. He didn't expect to become the Ren family's son-in-law. Aya, don't say any more. I am actually with Qin Feng. Ren Xiaoyao couldn't stand it anymore. She was so embarrassed that her snow-white skin turned pink. She rushed up to explain, but before she could finish, the Ren family was scared half to death. They hurriedly interrupted Ren Xiaoyao's words. The Ren family weren't stupid. Of course, they could tell that Ren Xiaoyao and Qin Feng didn't have that kind of relationship. However, the Ren family had their eyes on Qin Feng. They didn't care so much. They wanted to forcefully say that there was something that didn't exist. Xiaoyao, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and bring your boyfriend to the main residence. Haha, I watched Xiaoyao grow up. This girl has been obedient and sensible since she was young. She doesn't have the temper of a rich missy at all. She's exceptionally smart, kind, and virtuous. She's good at both the court and the kitchen. Any man who marries Xiaoyao in the future would be a blessing accumulated over 10 lifetimes. That's right. Our little demon has the best temper. I've never seen her lose her temper before. Furthermore, she grew up in the Ren family and received a strict upbringing. She's never had a boyfriend, but she's very clean. Second uncle, third aunt. You're being sarcastic, right? Big sister Xiaoyao grew up with a sword in her hand. She chased us cousins all over the courtyard. When she gets angry, the Ren family courtyard is as scary as a war. A boy about the same age as Ren Xiaoyao couldn't stand listening anymore and started to expose Ren Xiaoyao's past. Once the boy finished speaking, the entire Ren family widened their eyes. They looked like they wanted to eat him alive. You stinking brat. You only know how to lie with your eyes open all day long. Hurry up and go back to your cultivation. A tall and sturdy man grabbed the boy's ear and ran. It seemed that he was the boy's father. After a short shock, the Ren family immediately regained their senses. The people who were praising Ren Xiaoyao continued to praise Ren Xiaoyao to the heavens. The people who were trying to get close to Qin Feng continued to praise Qin Feng. They praised Qin Feng to the heavens. Qin Feng was still in a daze. Ren Xiaoyao wanted to say something, but Yiya covered her mouth to stop her from speaking. Chapter 852. Qin Feng sat on the sofa in the living room of the main residence. He was surrounded by the Ren family. Everyone was overly enthusiastic. Some poured water for Qin Feng, some peeled apples, and some of the younger generation massaged Qin Feng's shoulders. Qin Feng was shocked. He regretted coming to find Ren Xiaoyao at this time. Qin Feng hesitated if he should tell everyone, that he wasn't here to be a son-in-law. However, Qin Feng didn't dare to speak when he saw the enthusiastic Ren family. He was afraid that the Ren family would beat him to death if he spoke. Qin Feng raised his head and looked at Ren Xiaoyao. He saw her standing at the side shyly and nervously. Qin Feng could guess what she was thinking. She didn't expect things to turn out this way. If Qin Feng rejected the offer of being a son-in-law, wouldn't it be a slap to Ren Xiaoyao's face? Qin Feng's son-in-law, come have an apple. Ren Xiaoyao's mother, Yuya, passed the peeled apple to Qin Feng. Qin Feng quickly waved his hand and said, Auntie, you're an elder. How can I let you peel an apple for me? You can eat this apple yourself. Xiaoyao, come here and peel an apple for me. Qin Feng's mentality had changed hundreds of times. Now, he simply relaxed and pretended to be the Ren family's son-in-law. Qin Feng thought of the main purpose of his visit this time. In the past, he had always trained Ren Xiaoyao in private. That kind of strength did not meet the system's requirements. Qin Feng seized this opportunity to train Ren Xiaoyao in public. You silly girl. What are you waiting for? Come here quickly. Qin Feng is calling you. The Ren family's gaze fell on Ren Xiaoyao. Ren Xiaoyao felt uncomfortable. Oh, I'm coming. Ren Xiaoyao suddenly came to her senses. She lowered her head and walked to Qin Feng's side. Xiaoyao, pour me a glass of water first. Qin Feng ordered the moment Ren Xiaoyao sat down. Qin Feng's tone was very domineering. The Ren family was shocked. The Ren family didn't think that Qin Feng was too domineering. Qin Feng was the Green Dragon of China. If he wasn't domineering, he would be letting down the title of Green Dragon. The Ren clan was worried about Ren Xiaoyao. This girl had been pampered by everyone since she was young, and none of the elders dared to order her around or scold her. Ren Xiaoyao had the status and temper of a rich young lady, since she was young. The Ren family members were afraid that little demon would become agitated and pull out his sword to fight Qin Feng. If that happened, all the good words everyone had said would go to waste. Oh, master, please wait for a moment. This servant girl will go and pour some water for you. Ren Xiaoyao was extremely embarrassed by the words of the Ren family. She hadn't completely woken up yet, so she instinctively obeyed Qin Feng's words and subconsciously treated Qin Feng as her master. The Ren family's jaws dropped to the ground when they saw Ren Xiaoyao obediently pouring a cup of water for her. Io, what kind of maidservant are you? Do you want to burn your master to death? After pouring the water, you have to drink a mouthful first. When the temperature is just right, give it to me. Why don't you take it away and blow on it before bringing it back? Qin Feng's tone became more and more domineering, and he assumed the posture of an emperor. He did this on purpose for the Ren family to see. Qin Feng had already thought it through. If he acted a bit more domineering and arrogant, the Ren family would definitely not be willing to let him marry in. At the same time, Qin Feng trained Ren Xiaoyao and completed the mission. Only Qin Feng could think of this method of killing two birds with one stone. However, Qin Feng realized that his thinking was too naive. The Ren family members didn't hate him. Instead, they treated him even more warmly. Haha, Qin Feng's son-in-law is indeed the Green Dragon of China. Look at how mighty he is. You damned old man. Learn more from Qin Feng in the future. Look at you, weak and frail like a girl. I don't want to live with you anymore. Good. I finally found a man who can control little demon. Qin Feng is 100 times better than a son-in-law. Qin Feng, we've spoiled little demon since she was young. Now we don't dare to say anything to her, and we can't bear to order her around. In the future, this mission will be handed over to you. Train that girl a bit more. She can't be too lazy. Training is a good thing, but Qin Feng, don't hit little demon. Otherwise, as her mother, I'll feel sad. You have long hair but short knowledge. Although Qin Feng is strong, there's never been a rumor that he hits women. Don't worry about this. Qin Feng has a sharp tongue but a soft heart. On the surface, he orders little demon around, but in his heart, who knows how much he dotes on our girl. The Ren family members all around were chattering and discussing. Qin Feng's cataracts were about to fall out. At this time, Ren Xiaoyao walked over with a cup of hot water to blow on. Qin Feng saw that the Ren family members were encouraging him to train Ren Xiaoyao, so he definitely wouldn't be courteous with them. Holding the cup of water, Qin Feng didn't even take a sip before reprimanding Ren Xiaoyao. You stinky servant girl. This cup of water is already cold. Do you want me to drink it and catch a cold? Take it away, pour another cup of hot water, blow on it again, and bring it back to me. Ren Xiaoyao had already slowly regained her senses. She could tell that Qin Feng's master's illness was acting up again. He was purposely making trouble for her. However, when she saw that her relatives treated Qin Feng as if he was their biological son, Ren Xiaoyao didn't dare to vent her pent-up anger. She could only go to the side and blow on the hot water with grievance. The Ren family members surrounded Qin Feng and chatted for a while. When it was time for dinner, the Ren family's patriarch personally invited Qin Feng to the table for dinner. Qin Feng hadn't completed his task of training Ren Xiaoyao, so he didn't plan to leave. There were more than 30 people around the big round table. They were all the Ren family's patriarch's relatives. Qin Feng was the only outsider sitting here. Son-in-law Qin Feng, I'll say the same thing again. Don't treat us as outsiders. From now on, this will be your second home. You can eat whatever you want. Yuya chuckled and eased the atmosphere. The other relatives immediately echoed. Ayo. Qin Feng has already treated this place as his home. Sister-in-law doesn't need to say more. It's also Xiaoyao's fault. She kept hiding her relationship from us. Otherwise, we would have invited son-in-law Qin Feng home for dinner a long time ago. Qin Feng stayed at the Ren family's residence for an afternoon. He was already used to the Ren family's overly enthusiastic attitude. Qin Feng didn't restrain himself this time. He toasted everyone as he ate. Ren Xiaoyao was forced to sit beside Qin Feng by the Ren family members. Qin Feng would assign tasks to Ren Xiaoyao every now and then. Ren Xiaoyao was so angry that she couldn't eat anymore. You stinky servant girl, where is your eyesight? Can't you see that master has finished all the lobsters? Why don't you peel some and put them on the plate? I've told you for the whole day. The water should be neither hot nor cold. Pour it again. Xiaoyao, hurry up and massage master's shoulders. I'm tired from eating. Qin Feng ordered Ren Xiaoyao around again, and again in front of the Ren family members. Even if Ren Xiaoyao was extremely unwilling, she still had to follow Qin Feng's orders. Qin Feng had a great time eating dinner. Ren Xiaoyao really had the potential to be a servant girl. Although she didn't look very good, she did her job very well. Qin Feng was very satisfied. When dinner was almost over, the Ren family members started to strongly ask Qin Feng to stay for the night. They even said that Qin Feng should sleep with Ren Xiaoyao tonight. How could Qin Feng agree to such a rude and shameless request? After he rejected them once, he reluctantly agreed. Xiaoyao, come here. Mom wants to talk to you. The Ren family members started to leave. Yuya pulled Ren Xiaoyao to a place where there was no one. Ren Xiaoyao didn't eat a good meal the whole night. She had to serve Qin Feng. She was exhausted to death. Mom, what's the matter? Hurry up and tell me. I can't take it anymore. I want to go back and sleep. Ren Xiaoyao leaned against the wall. She felt like she was going to slip at any moment. Yuya looked at her daughter and her heart ached. Ren Xiaoyao had been spoiled since she was young. She had never suffered like today. Xiaoyao, tell Mom the truth. Are you not used to being a servant girl? Do you hate being ordered around by Qin Feng? If that's the case, Mom will tell Grandpa and Grandma that Mom doesn't want Qin Feng as a son-in-law. Yuya felt that Qin Feng was good in every way. However, she felt more sorry for her daughter. Of course, Ren Xiaoyao didn't want to be a servant girl. However, she didn't dare to admit it. If her mother really ran to Grandpa and Grandma and told them about this, the Ren family members would teach Ren Xiaoyao a lesson. Ren Xiaoyao reckoned that she wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. Mom, I'm fine. Actually, when I'm with Qin Feng in private, I'm like this. He's my master, and I'm willing to serve him. This is the power of love. Mom, don't worry about me. Don't care about me and Qin Feng in the future. Ren Xiaoyao was really going to be driven crazy by her relatives today. She planned to endure today and kick Qin Feng out the next morning before her family members woke up. Really? That's great. Mom was just afraid that you wouldn't be able to endure it. My heart aches for you. Yuya held Ren Xiaoyao's hand and said happily. That child Qin Feng is really not bad. He's strong, has a lot of power, and doesn't put on airs in front of us elders. In the future, you'll definitely not be at a disadvantage when you're with him. Alright Mom, I got it. Then I'm going back. Qin Feng is still waiting for me. Ren Xiaoyao was so tired that she hurriedly walked back to her house. Halfway there, Yuya's anxious voice came from behind. Ah, that's right, don't forget to take precautions when you guys do it tonight. You're still young, don't get pregnant. Ren Xiaoyao's feet slipped and she almost stumbled and fell. Qin Feng, you're so capable when you eat tonight. If you have the ability, try ordering this young miss around again. Ren Xiaoyao returned to the house and found that Qin Feng really treated it as his home. He was lying on the big bed and watching TV. Chapter 853. Ren Xiaoyao was enraged at the mention of warm water. She had poured Qin Feng countless cups of water today, but Qin Feng either thought it was too hot or too cold. He did not even take a sip, yet Ren Xiaoyao was exhausted to the point of death. Ren Xiaoyao rushed to the bed and pinched Qin Feng's thigh. She yelled angrily, "If you want to drink water, go get it yourself. Get off my bed now. I just got a new bed not long ago. You're going to sleep on the floor tonight." Now that there were no outsiders, Ren Xiaoyao did not listen to Qin Feng's orders anymore. Qin Feng was not afraid of pain. He said unhurriedly, "You don't welcome me? Tell me then. I'll go greet the Ren family now, and I'll go home to sleep." As Qin Feng spoke, he got up to leave. Ren Xiaoyao was so frightened that she hurriedly stopped Qin Feng. Why you're not allowed to leave? You have to sleep on the floor of my house tonight. Tomorrow morning, if you don't leave, I'll kick you out. Ren Xiaoyao could not let Qin Feng go to the Ren family. Otherwise, her grandparents, second uncle, third uncle, and fourth aunt would scold her to death. Are you out of your mind, girl? You want me to stay, but you want me to sleep on the floor? You're too naive. Qin Feng rolled his eyes at Ren Xiaoyao. Ren Xiaoyao was a little embarrassed. Anyway, you can't leave tonight. If you leave, don't look for me anymore. Ren Xiaoyao started to act shamelessly. Qin Feng did not plan to leave. He just wanted to scare Ren Xiaoyao. It's fine if you don't leave. You're still my servant tonight, and you'll be my servant girl in the future. You'll do whatever I tell you to do. Hey, how dare you glare at master? Hurry up and pour me a cup of warm water. Ren Xiaoyao's eyes darkened, but she had no choice but to swallow her anger and pour the water. After pouring the water, Ren Xiaoyao wanted to sit down and take a breather. Qin Feng yelled, "Servant girl, you have no sense at all. Hurry up and prepare the bath water for master. Then scrub my back later." Ren Xiaoyao slapped her forehead. She realized that she had returned to the situation when she participated in the alchemy conference in Hepping Town. Initially, she thought that she would be able to escape her fate of being a maid after the competition, but it seemed like that was just the beginning. Because Qin Feng had something on her, Ren Xiaoyao couldn't resist at all. Since she couldn't resist, Ren Xiaoyao accepted her fate. She ran around the room and was extremely busy. In the beginning, it was Qin Feng who ordered her to do things. Later on, Run Little Demon finished everything on her own. She didn't want to hear Qin Feng's arrogant voice, which made her angry. Run the bath water, scrub the body, massage the bed, pour water for supper. Little Demon Run had basically transformed into a full-time nanny. She didn't even know that she was so capable. Ding! Congratulations, host Qin Feng, for completing the mission of taming Little Demon Run. You have successfully tamed Little Demon Run into Master's Mate. The system rewards host Qin Feng 30,000 Hedonist points, 1 Thundercloud Stone, and 5 kilograms of purple core iron. Host points, 76,000. A system notification suddenly sounded in Qin Feng's mind. The mission to tame Little Demon Run had been completed. Qin Feng was overjoyed. Now he could use the Thundercloud Stone and purple core iron to forge a purple battle armor. Little Demon, it's getting late. Go to sleep. Qin Feng was in a great mood and stopped tormenting Ren Xiaoyao. Looking at Ren Xiaoyao in her pink pajamas and her cute panda eyes, Qin Feng laughed in his heart. Ah, master, you don't have any instructions? Then I'm going to sleep on the sofa. Ren Xiaoyao was extremely excited and immediately jumped onto the sofa to sleep. You sleep on the bed, Qin Feng ordered. Ren Xiaoyao wrapped herself in a sheepskin blanket and looked at Qin Feng nervously. Master, I'll sleep on the sofa. Why you sleep on the bed? Why are you talking so much nonsense? I told you to go to bed, so go to bed. Ren Xiaoyao angrily walked to the side of the bed. She kept her guard up against Qin Feng. If Qin Feng dared to touch her, Ren Xiaoyao wouldn't care about the consequences and would immediately fight him. Qin Feng jumped off the bed. This sudden action gave Ren Xiaoyao a big fright. She pulled out the waning moon sword from the sheepskin blanket with a clatter. What are you doing? Do you believe that I won't cut you up? Ren Xiaoyao grabbed the sword and glared at him. However, she found that Qin Feng had already gone to lie on the sofa. Seeing that Ren Xiaoyao hid a sword in the sheepskin blanket, Qin Feng didn't know what to say. Little demon, do you still have the habit of practicing swordsmanship at night? Do you want me to spar with you? Qin Feng laughed coldly as he looked at Ren Xiaoyao. Ren Xiaoyao lost all face. She hurriedly hid the waning moon sword back into the sheepskin blanket and pretended that nothing had happened. Ahem. Then, do you sleep on the sofa at night? Ren Xiaoyao suddenly realized that Qin Feng wasn't a bad person. Although he was often mischievous, he had a bottom line when it came to important matters. If I don't sleep on the sofa, am I supposed to hug you to sleep on the bed? Qin Feng rolled his eyes at Ren Xiaoyao. Ren Xiaoyao was a bit embarrassed. She said shyly, Then you can sleep on the bed but don't touch me. Otherwise, the sword in my blanket will cut you into pieces at any time. The corner of Qin Feng's mouth twitched. He angrily yelled, All right, hurry up and sleep on the bed. This is Master's order. If you dare to talk back, you'll sleep at the front door tonight. Ren Xiaoyao immediately shut her mouth and didn't dare to speak. She climbed onto the bed like a little bear. After a tiring day, Ren Xiaoyao fell asleep as soon as she got onto the bed. Qin Feng lay on the sofa and waited for a while. After confirming that Ren Xiaoyao had really fallen asleep, Qin Feng's consciousness entered the Hedonist sovereign system. Master! As soon as Qin Feng entered, the two heroes and three pets surrounded him. After greeting everyone, Qin Feng asked Little Pig, Little Pig, I'm going to forge a battle armor now. Little Pig said, Master, you can use the system's forging interface to forge it. As long as you put the materials into the forging furnace and spend a certain amount of hedonist points, the system will be able to forge a purple-grade spiritual equipment. Qin Feng remembered that a long time ago, he had used the Hidden World Random Scroll to draw the forging interface. However, he had never used it. Qin Feng entered the forging interface. Before him was a huge forging furnace. Qin Feng put the thundercloud stone and 5 kilograms of purple core iron into the furnace. He also added some auxiliary materials to forge the battle armor. Qin Feng had been to Devil Beast Mountain a few times, so he had a lot of forging materials in the Emerald Spirit Ring. After a round of selection, Qin Feng threw the berserk black demon bear's hide into the forging furnace. He also added the one-horned rhinoceros's tendon and the flame wolf's fangs. Once all the materials were ready, Little Pig said, Master, you can put a ball of destructive fire at the bottom of the forging furnace. The destructive fire is a spiritual flame. If it has enough spiritual qi, the quality of the spiritual equipment forged will be higher. Qin Feng slapped a ball of destructive fire into the forging furnace. Then he looked at the cost of the forging process. It was a total of 50,000 hedonist points. It was a bit expensive. However, if Qin Feng bought a purple-grade spiritual equipment from the system, it would cost him at least 100,000 hedonist points. With a thought, 50,000 hedonist points disappeared in an instant. Following that, the huge forging furnace let out a loud crackling sound, as if it was going to explode at any time. The forging furnace needed time to forge a purple-grade spiritual equipment, and the time was not short. Qin Feng stayed in the forging interface and absorbed the destructive fire a few times. From time to time, Qin Feng would slap a new ball of destructive fire to forge the purple-grade spiritual equipment. Rumble. After an unknown amount of time, A loud explosion came from the forging furnace. The explosions were continuous from the start, and after dozens of explosions, the movements in the forging furnace slowly calmed down. Master, the purple-grade spiritual equipment is done. Little Pig's excited voice sounded in Qin Feng's mind. Following that, a dazzling purple light flashed in the forging furnace. A purple battle robe rose and floated into Qin Feng's hand. Purple Thunder Wild Robe. Equipment Grade. Purple Grade Middle Grade Spiritual Equipment Introduction. The Purple Thunder Wild Robe was forged with the rare purple core iron as the main material. It is indestructible. The lightning attribute of the Thundercloud Stone has been successfully activated. Hidden attribute. Lightning, the Purple Thunder Wild Robe, can activate the lightning attribute once a day for half an hour. After activation, hosts can use lightning to attack. System price: 288,888 Hedonist points. Qin Feng's heart was filled with excitement when he read the introduction of the Purple Thunder Wild Robe. The Purple Thunder Wild Robe appeared in Qin Feng's hand. It looked like a dazzling windbreaker. Purple lightning flickered faintly on the battle robe. Qin Feng laid there quietly, but he could almost hear the roar of thunder and lightning. Qin Feng stood up and waved his hand. The Purple Thunder Wild Robe appeared on his body. 500 kilograms weighed down on Qin Feng's body, but he was not affected at all. He performed a set of powerful special-grade Thunder Tiger Fists in the system. Rumble! Rumble! As Qin Feng circulated the inner qi in his body, the Purple Thunder Wild Robe seemed to have been activated. As if it had a mind of its own, the purple light on the battle robe shot out in all directions. The crisscrossing lightning could be seen clearly, and the roar of thunder could be heard. Great! I like this Purple Thunder Wild Robe. Qin Feng stopped. His eyes shone brightly as he admired the dazzling battle robe on his body. Shimen Chui Shui and Ouyang Feng stood at the side. Their eyes also shone as they looked at the Purple Thunder Wild Robe. Qin Feng felt much more at ease now that he had obtained the most important defensive battle robe. Ding! Congratulations, host Qin Feng, for using the forging interface to successfully forge a purple-grade spiritual equipment. The system rewards host Qin Feng 30,000 Hedonist points and a random purple-grade lottery ticket. Master, you have a high-tech battle equipment lottery ticket. You can use it. Little Pig suddenly yelled excitedly. Qin Feng thought of the lottery ticket. It was the reward for completing the clan's martial meat quest not too long ago. Qin Feng took out the lottery ticket with a thought. He looked at Little Pig and asked, "What's a high-tech battle equipment? Why are you so excited?" Master, all of the high-tech products in the system come from Star Technology. The products from Star Technology definitely won't disappoint, Master. Little Pig said. The quests that Qin Feng had received before included Star Technology's products as rewards. However, Qin Feng hadn't completed those quests yet, so he didn't know how powerful Star Technology's products were. Chapter 854. Lil Piggy, tell me in detail. What is Star Technology? Qin Feng asked. Master, I can't tell you now. Otherwise I'll be struck by lightning again. Little Pig blinked its big eyes and looked at Qin Feng pitifully. Seeing Qin Feng's gloomy expression, Little Pig added, Master, you just have to remember that Star Technology's products are of the highest quality. Some of the equipment inside can instantly kill an ancient martial artist. Qin Feng was shocked, because he was also one of the powerful ancient martial artists. What level of ancient martial artists can it instantly kill? It's hard to say. It depends on the level of the product. A higher level equipment can instantly kill Master. No, it can instantly kill a Stage 9 Inner Chi expert. Qin Feng was dumbfounded. That was a Stage 9 Inner Chi Master, one of the most powerful masters in China. He was as rare as a phoenix feather and a unicorn horn. How could he be killed in an instant? Where can I buy Star Technology's products? I want to buy it. Qin Feng suddenly became excited. Little Pig poured a bucket of cold water on Qin Feng. Master, Star Technology is also a hidden interface. Master hasn't unlocked this interface yet, so you can't buy the items inside. Because the interface hasn't been unlocked, I can't reveal a lot of secrets about star technology to Master. How many Hedonist points does it cost to unlock the star technology interface? Qin Feng asked. 500,000 Hedonist points. Little Pig looked at Qin Feng's green face and added, "Of course, Master can also complete the system's quests to obtain a hidden interface lucky draw ticket. If you're lucky, you can draw the interface of star technology." Little Pig realized that Qin Feng's face turned even greener. The rewards of the hidden interface lucky draw ticket were already very little. It would be too late if Qin Feng relied on this thing to draw the interface of star technology. Master, 500,000 Hedonist points is actually not a lot. With Master's current ability to complete quests, it's only a matter of time. Moreover, there are several unfinished quests that reward star technology products. Master still has a high-tech battle equipment lucky draw ticket. You can draw a star technology product first and experience it. Qin Feng had almost forgotten about the lucky draw ticket after talking to Little Pig for so long. Since he couldn't unlock the interface of star technology for the time being, Qin Feng collected his thoughts and took out the high-tech battle equipment lucky draw ticket. Draw with a thought from Qin Feng. The lottery ticket disappeared, and a large wheel appeared in front of him. Positioning laser guns, starstone cannons, fire wolf pistols, destruction grenades, ice leopard sniper cannons. Strange names and cool pictures flashed by. They were all names that Qin Feng had never heard of before. The spinning wheel slowed down and finally stopped. Starlight gauntlets. Equipment grade. Star Technology B grade battle equipment introduction. A tough and powerful high-tech gauntlet. Hidden within the gauntlet is R-shaped starlight that can instantly penetrate the enemy's defense. Hidden attribute. Our starlight system price. 88,888 Hedonist points. Qin Feng looked at the golden boxing glove that suddenly appeared on his right fist and hurriedly threw a punch. Rumble. The sound of thunder and the roar of a tiger seemed to spread out at the same time. A powerful airflow exploded in the surroundings, and it did not subside for a long time. Little Pig, there doesn't seem to be anything special about these starlight gloves? Qin Feng's winter iron glove was crushed by Su Xiaoshan not long ago. Now that he got a new one, Qin Feng was quite happy. However, he soon realized that the starlight gauntlet was not powerful at all. He could not even feel the spiritual qi fluctuation on it. Master, Star Technology's products are high-tech products. Of course, they are different from the spiritual equipment you used to have. Little Pig explained. This starlight gauntlet is made of the most advanced starstone material. It is extremely hard. Even if Su Xiaoshan crushed it 100 times, he wouldn't be able to crush it. The main attack of the starlight gauntlet is the R-shaped starlight. Why does it use the R-shaped starlight? Qin Feng asked. As long as Master concentrates, you can feel the existence of the gauntlet and use your mind to activate the R-shaped starlight. Qin Feng was stunned. This starlight gauntlet was indeed a product of star technology. Even its usage method was so advanced. Qin Feng couldn't help but be more curious about star technology. Rumble. After a short rest, Qin Feng swung his right fist again. Thunder and tiger roar surged past. But Qin Feng didn't care about the power of the special rank Thunder Tiger fists. With a thought, he really did sense the existence of the starlight gauntlets. A dazzling white light flashed and disappeared at a speed that left Qin Feng speechless. In an instant, it disappeared as if it had never appeared. Rumble. However, the system space suddenly trembled. The area where the R-shaped starlight swept past just now was pierced through. An intense sense of danger blossomed in Qin Feng's heart. Little Pig, that white light was the R-shaped starlight? Qin Feng was dumbfounded. Qin Feng was a stage 9 inner chi expert now. He could dodge normal bullets. Even if he was shot, he would be fine. However, the R-shaped starlight was too fast and powerful. If an enemy attacked Qin Feng with the starlight gauntlet, he wouldn't be able to dodge it. He might even be sliced in half. Master, this starlight gauntlet is only a B-rank technological product. It's equivalent to an orange equipment in the spirit grade category. If you take out an even more powerful starlight gauntlet, its power will be even more terrifying. Little Pig's words were extremely shocking. How are the grades of star technology products classified? From high to low. SSS, SSS, A, B, C, and D. Little Pig said. Qin Feng had a rough understanding of the power of star technology. The R-shaped starlight could definitely kill martial artists below stage 9 inner chi. Since the Starlight Gauntlet was only a grade B product, Qin Feng didn't dare to imagine how powerful an SSS product would be. By the way, Master, the R-shaped starlight of the Starlight Gauntlet can only be activated by a special star stone. Special star stones are very rare on Earth, so star technology is considered a luxury item in the system. The R-shaped starlight that Master shot out just now is equivalent to 5,000 Hedonist points. Little Pig's words startled Qin Feng. He hastily checked his Hedonist points balance. The 26,000 Hedonist points were still there. Don't worry, Master. There is a star stone in the Starlight Gauntlet. This star stone can only sustain the Starlight Gauntlet for 5 shots. Master only has 4 shots left. The little pig shook its head and looked at Qin Feng with a cute expression. Qin Feng wanted nothing more than to send this idiotic pig flying with a kick. You idiot, why didn't you say so earlier? That's 5,000 Hedonist points. Qin Feng gritted his teeth in anger. I thought Master was born rich and didn't care about these Hedonist points. Turns out you're just a pauper. Little Pig added another stab to Qin Feng's wound. Qin Feng was about to be angered to death by Little Pig, so he ignored the stupid pig. Qin Feng was very excited to suddenly have the Purple Thunder Wild Robe and Starlight Gauntlets. He admired the 2 pieces of equipment in the system before his consciousness returned to Ren Xiaoyao's room. At this time, the sky was already brightening. Little Demon Run was sleeping soundly on the bed. This lass had always been restless when she slept. She rolled around on the bed, causing her pink pajamas to be all over the place. Her slender waist and long legs were all exposed. Qin Feng admired her for a while, then got up to cover Ren Xiaoyao with a blanket. As the sky gradually brightened, Qin Feng quietly left the Ren mansion. The Qin mansion in the provincial capital was still as crowded as before. All the powerful families lined up to visit the Qin mansion. This change made the Qin family very happy. They had gained a lot of face. However, there was one person who looked at the Qin mansion that had been turned upside down in one night. His heart was filled with resentment. He was Qin Xiao because the changes in the Qin mansion were not caused by him. All the glory belonged to Qin Feng. Qin Xiao felt that his grandfather was unfair, but he couldn't do anything about it. Ever since the clan martial competition ended, Qin Xiao left the Qin mansion and went to the Divine Dragon Temple in the east of the provincial capital. His master, the Divine Dragon, was there. The Divine Dragon Mountain was tall and majestic, and there was a Divine Dragon Temple on it. This was the territory of the Divine Dragon. Without the permission of the Divine Dragon, no one could take half a step into the Divine Dragon Mountain. A few of the 9 dragons of Wuxia were conferred the title of Marquis because of their outstanding achievements. However, only the Divine Dragon was conferred the title of King. The area around the Divine Dragon Mountain was conferred to the Divine Dragon by the Chinese government. On the peak of the Divine Dragon Mountain, the wind was fierce and cold. The surrounding mountains were covered in a boundless fog. Master, why didn't you come to the Qin clan martial competition? Otherwise, how could that brat Qin Feng obtain the position of young patriarch? Qin Xiao said as he looked at a shadow in the fog. The shadow was faintly discernible, and the voice that came seemed to come from far away. Are you questioning me? The voice was very calm, but it carried a powerful aura. Qin Xiao broke out in cold sweat and knelt on the ground with a plop. Ma master, disciple doesn't dare. Disciple is slow-witted. I don't understand. Previously, master wanted me to assassinate Qin Feng. Why did Qin Feng appear now? Why did you leave him alone? Qin Xiao had relied on the Divine Dragon a long time ago. That Suruoro was also arranged by the Divine Dragon to Qin Xiao. The Divine Dragon had always wanted Qin Xiao to assassinate Qin Feng, and promised Qin Xiao that he would help him obtain the position of Qin clan young patriarch. In the end, Qin Feng appeared, but the Divine Dragon didn't appear. Why do you care so much about a mere Qin clan young patriarch? Why do I have to appear and suppress Qin Feng? In a few days, he will take the initiative to challenge me. The divine dragon's words were vague, and Qin Xiao couldn't understand at all. Master Qin Feng, why would he challenge you? You talk too much. Don't ask what you shouldn't, or you'll die young. Qin Xiao was so scared that his whole body trembled. He wiped the sweat on his forehead and said, Master, disciple doesn't dare. In the future, disciple will do whatever master says. Qin Xiao knelt for a long time, waiting for the divine dragon's reply. However, the wind howled on the peak of the divine dragon mountain, and the fog was boundless. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.